Hi, Mikadas. Hello, everyone. I'm Miki, your company man, Peter with Set in the Clouds. Since we're always flying planes, we are not flying planes. We're talking about them today. It is episode 10 of the Tailstrike Talkshow, Aidrian Articulation. I am joined here by our co-host.
Hi, I'm Jover BT. I'm like a dog, but not quite that one, and more hostile to mailmen. And this is Adrian. He's our guest.
Everybody, my name's Adrian August, #1 mercenary pilot in the Pacific, at your service.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get into the news, I keep forgetting to ask these opening questions. So we're going to get back on board with asking the opening questions so people know who you are before we talk for like an hour. So first off, what do you do in terms of content creation and such?
Well, in terms of content creation, you can oftentimes find me streaming a good amount of War Thunder. I try to do some historical, usually aviation-based video games, and have been starting to stray into the RPG/JRPG territory. But I also have the plan and have a couple of examples of some experimental hybrid type content in which I essentially make like a machinima using War Thunder's in-game engine, and I intend to use that to tell some of my stories of the mercenary life out here in the Pacific.
Nice. And where do you usually stream?
I usually stream right here on Twitch.
Sorry, I forgot to put a disclaimer in chat.
Oh,
No worries,
Professional
no
streamer
worries.
here. Yeah, we do.
Manually and Pen, and then let's give a shout out. There we go. And there's a link to Adrian's Twitch if you need it. And then, do you have set times you usually stream at?
I try to be consistent with my streams, but I am totally fine with some some outliers for better, for the greater good, so to speak. So yeah, I don't usually stream in the mornings, but here I am,
Yeah, I know I know we dragged you out of bed really early.
Yeah, I was withered and dehydrated and not moisturized at all. I had to revive myself, but I made it. But yeah, so I usually try to stream at around 7 in the evening, Pacific Standard Time.
As is appropriate for a Pacific fighter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are you guys ready to get into the news?
Yeah, I think that works for me.
It's the most non-committal response I've ever heard.
Well, I mean, I'm not down for. It's not my turn for a while because you've got piles of stuff.
A decent amount of stuff happened. Wait, did you put your civilian flight sim stuff after the battery?
I
Oh, no, the slide's just out of order. Here,
think I might have made a slight mistake there.
Let me fix that.
Whoops. These things, they happen.
All right.
They do. Stuff is a part of our DNA. It is what makes us, what binds us.
It's the Ian curse. Oh yeah. Also, actually, before we get into the news, Adrian, your goggles toggle, right?
They sure do.
Do you want to? You want to just
count of 3?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Nice.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Goggle toggle for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm gonna leave mine on now.
Nice.
Okay. First news story. SATAC 2023. Yeah, it's 2023. The current year is 2024. I'm glad no one's asked about that. It's a long explanation. But the matches we've had this past week were BK versus Fully Torqued. Fully Torqued won 2-1. For Stormo Cassia Virtuale versus Red Star and Friends, with Red Star and Friends winning 2-0. 51st PPO versus Lock on Greece, with 51st winning 2-0. And then today we should have 9G versus Earth Federated Forces, and then Wolfpack versus Dynamic DCS. So it should be another exciting pair of matches today. And I'm not sure where those matches are going to be taking place. So keep an eye out on the 51st PPO Discord for when and where those will be. Have either of you caught any of the SATAC matches this past week?
No, I've been literally in the middle of nowhere.
As happens to people who fly.
Yeah.
Of course, happened to me just yesterday, actually. Yeah.
Like, we were joking over at the track that like somebody could have dropped the bomb on New York, and like we just wouldn't know because we had no cell service, and we were so far away in Florida that we just keep on partying until perpetually. We just would have no idea anything happened in the first place.
Completely off the grid.
Uh-huh.
Thriving.
Yeah.
All right. Next news story we have is the hotly awaited F4 Phantom unfortunately got delayed. Heat Blur announced just 3 days before their winter 2024 window closed that they were going to be delaying the module yet again. Their new release is 2 weeks to the end of May. And they cite the main delaying factors as COVID and their new UI, which is shown here in this image. So they're saying that their new UI was a big headache. It was causing a lot of performance issues for 5 to 10% of players. And personally, I don't really care about the delay, but I just I much prefer if they'd start with like a more realistic window, or more towards the start they go, hey, we don't think we're gonna hit this window, just as a heads up. I'm okay with earlier communication and more transparency, more casual.
Wait, how are you like using COVID as an excuse for being late on something in 2024?
Because the original release was like 2022, I think.
Okay, it's also been 2 years since that. The COVID stuff is clearly like the supply chains are better, but like you don't have that problem with computer planes. Like, whatever. 4 years.
It's definitely like, it's a bit of a bummer, but I'm an avid believer in things should be done when they're done. Like, rushing and, the whole crunch time that is really plaguing the game industry as a whole is a very terrible thing, and that's the last thing I know. A lot of people have highly anticipated this F4 Phantom module. So I wouldn't want it to be like, rushed. I wouldn't want it to be incomplete. You know what I mean? So on one hand, it's good that they're taking the extra time to make sure it's ready. On the other hand, I totally agree with you, Mika. I think they should have been more transparent. They should have announced it earlier, because clearly this was always in the back of the mind. Like, if it was like, an issue like, some years ago and they were falling behind schedule of something that happened before, why would you announce it this late, like, this close to its release?
Yeah, and I feel like with like DCS and the flight sim community, there's a bit more understanding of what they're doing is complicated and such. And so if they're just like, hey guys, I know we said if like let's say mid-February they said, hey guys, we know we said we thought we were gonna get this done winter 2024, but we just got to push it back. We're too much of a crunch. We don't think we can make it. I'm totally fine with that. Like, I don't care. I can wait.
And that's usually fine to me, but as soon as you start taking people's money like early, like you should really try and limit those delays while still taking people's money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Pre-order and pay for it, because like they're actively taking money for this module while pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back, and like now you still don't really have anything to show for what you've paid for.
Well, some of the people who ordered the t-shirts have their t-shirts.
Good.
No, that's good. They got the t-shirt. That's nifty.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered the Phantom and all I got was a stupid t-shirt. Is that what it
Yeah.
said?
And pretty
Oh,
much
boy.
that's what it is.
But I'll highly look forward to the module. I'm sure I'll get Joe as my backseater at some point, and I'm sure the shark will torture me in it.
Oh, as if you wouldn't probably torture me way harder with it.
I'm not a sadist.
I've seen. Well, no. I said the shark torturing me.
Oh yeah, she will torture you with it way harder.
You've seen like how much she just enjoys doing that. So
she's definitely a sadist. I don't know.
but like not like a physical way.
Totally
she,
not
like,
a fish.
She likes causing
not a
like
fish.
Yeah, not a fish at all.
She likes like causing like mental anguish for me a lot. She seems to derive some sort of joy from it. So. And then has the gall to call me like a emotional support dog, and I'm like, oh, thanks. You know, after you've already been like doing all this stuff, or at least in the case of Minecraft, beating the ever living snot out of me in the kitchen, and then oh yeah, just an emotional support dog. Like, oh, cool. Your emotional support is just beating on helpless animals.
All right, and
anyway,
speaking of, I guess headless animals. I don't know how to actually segue that one.
No, not headless. No, she ever took my head off.
Halloween is far away. I mean, see, that's the thing. The headless horseman, right? Does that imply that the horse is also headless, or is it just the horseman?
Yeah, they're both headless.
Oh, okay. That's
okay, cool. So they got kind of like a matching thing going on. I like it.
Yeah.
So here's my. Okay, I don't want to get too far off, but we'll save that for later. We'll save that for later.
Speaking of Halloween in March.
Huh?
Speaking of Halloween in March. Never mind. Just go on to the thing.
All right. Next up is this didn't actually happen last week. This happened the week before, and I forgot to put it in last week because dog brain. But the DCS AH1G mod showed off its startup procedure. You can go dig up that video. It's been pushed to me on YouTube like 300 times. I'm excited to get an old Cobra, some old helos to fly, attack helos particularly.
Nice. It's crazy to me that I was watching a mini documentary on the AH1 series and how they were quite, if I'm not mistaken, they were based off of the UH1 airframe.
Yep.
Yeah, airframe. I almost said chassis. They were based off of the UH1 airframe, but just radically redesigned. But it's pretty wild that it shares the DNA inherently with the venerable Huey.
Yeah, and it has the same rotor mast bumping problem where if you pull up and then you try to pitch down really hard and fight the roll that happens, your main rotor goes bye-bye.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
It's a fun flaw. I think we actually saw that modeled on the Huey in DCS. Airshow was dog fighting a Huey with a hind, and the Huey's propeller went bye-bye.
Oh, wow.
Just spun off into space.
That's crazy.
And then next up, we have my favored and hotly awaited module. I'll put some emotes in the chat related to it. The A7 Flying Iron showed off some more pictures of their upcoming A7E module in white box. It is looking quite good. They've got the wing fold. They've got that massive air brake. That is a huge air brake there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It makes me wonder, like, does this thing not use air brakes on landing? I'm only used to using air brakes while landing. Spaceman, you can't wait to teach me carrier ops. I already know carrier ops. I do the Harrier from the carrier. That counts, right?
Oh, out of spite, you should only fly the Air Force version from Rumways.
No, it's a Navy jet. It's got the gear and the hook and everything.
I mean, the Air Force had them too.
Sure.
Plenty of them, actually.
But
in answer to the age-old question, if the Corsair was so good, why isn't there a Corsair 2? Well, here it is. If I'm not mistaken, unless this is the Crusader.
This is
No. You're right. It's 2.
Yeah, this is the Corsair 2, but technically it's the Corsair 3.
Huh?
Because in like the interwar period, they made a Corsair
Oh yeah.
that was like a scout plane, and then the F4U Corsair is technically the Corsair 2, but officially the Corsair 1.
Interwar aviation, just such a shit show. Really, it's just such an amazing mess.
Yeah, and I really love how with DCS we have a lot of confusion, because if you say, "Oh, I'm looking forward to the A7," people will be like, "Oh, you mean the LA7?" And then if you say, "Hey, I'm looking forward to the Corsair," they say, "Do you mean the F4U Corsair?"
Yes, very much so.
So there's a lot of confusion. It's great.
I am very much looking forward to the Corsair, the F4U, that is, because it's kind of my cup of tea. And I've been waiting. I have been holding out on DCS until that is added to the game. Because I'll be honest with you guys, the Mustang and me, we don't see eye to eye. I don't like how the Mustang handles. The Mustang is not... It's like my body rejects it, and the Mustang detects this and rejects me right back. You know, so...
The Mustang handles up to its name. It is a wild beast, and it wants to throw you into the ground every chance it gets, man.
Now, that's not to say that the Corsair is perfect either. After all, visibility is a huge issue. And, the early variants of the Corsair, the early models, had some, issues with the right wing, I believe, where it would stall before the left one. And, the whole carrier landing was a really new concept. And there were some accidents here and there, but it's just teething issues. Those are bound to happen with any aircraft, right?
Hey, at least its track record isn't as bad as the Crusader.
I see.
I think it was something like all but 2 Crusaders by the end of their lifespan were involved in at least one accident.
Holy can I swear on
Yeah.
here? Can I swear?
Oh, yeah, you could swear.
Okay. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a big problem.
Oh man, that is wild. Holy moly. But yeah, the Corsair's not a perfect bird, but she's perfect in my eyes. That's all that matters.
It looks beautiful, and that's what counts.
The bent wing bird.
The gull wings, so beautiful.
Yeah. Indeed. It had to be done to accommodate that massive propeller. If I'm not mistaken, it's got a 14-foot radius.
Oh, geez. But it is interesting because it uses basically the same engine that the Hellcat does, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that it does. It is the venerable double wasp radial engine. You can find it in aircraft such as, as you mentioned, the Hellcat. Some of the bombers, you had them in the P-47s as well.
Put them in. They just threw in anything they wanted a radial for, really.
I mean, it was like the most powerful engine the U.S. had in World War II, so they put it in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Connecticut, so it was always a very aviation-centric place. And if I just go across the Connecticut River in Hartford, boom, Pratt & Whitney's main production facility for past 70, 80, 90 years. And then if you go a bit to the south, you go to Sikorsky. You got Vought over there too, and all kinds of really cool stuff. But it was awesome seeing, because we have an air museum in Connecticut that it's the New England Air Museum, and Pratt & Whitney will just give away engines to put in there, and ones where they had cutaway engines that would still move if you turn a crank so you could see how they worked mechanically, and they had those of their radials, and it was so cool. When I was a kid and went there. Yeah,
that's awesome. And a lot of people may not be familiar with this fact, but the Corsair, the F4U Corsair was developed by Chance Vought Sikorsky. Sikorsky had a hand in designing the Corsair.
Dun dun dun.
Yep.
Yeah. It was. They also produced them in their factory in Bridgeport, because they used to produce planes before they produced helicopters. They made some very, very nice. What do you call them? Seaplanes. Yes, those. That's the word.
Yeah.
They have a original condition almost. It's not airworthy, but it was a like Sikorsky airline, like early like flying boat that they have in their air museum in up in Windsor, and it's amazing to see in person. They actually have a B-29 as well, if I remember right.
Yummy
Oh, a super
B-29s. Well, aren't there only, or wait, non-flying or a flying one?
Oh, not flying, not flying. Yeah.
Okay.
There are two. There are only two remaining flying examples of the B-29. One of them is known as Doc. The other one is known as Fifi.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember kids, if you see a B-29 fly over, do not immediately post that you saw it unless you want to dox yourself. Because it's so easy to see where someone was if they go, hey guys, a B-29 just flew over me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a fair point. You know what? I never thought of that. Yeah, because there's only two.
Yeah,
there's only two.
two.
So you can't really, you can't mistake it. It's either going to be one or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
50-50.
usually they're not flying both at the same time because they have to get a lot of maintenance. So usually one's down.
Right. Honestly, I haven't heard about the last time that Fifi has flown. I know Doc the B-29 has been flying at a few air shows and whatnot, and flying out to air museums across the country.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely. From what I heard, speaking to some of the people that work on these B-29s, they take considerable amounts of maintenance.
Yeah.
Each time, for sure. I mean, even back during its prime, so to speak, these were very maintenance hungry, very maintenance intensive birds. They were the most expensive aircraft produced of all time at the time. They actually cost more than the Manhattan Project itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the B-29 ultimately didn't see much service in the war. It was definitely towards the end of the war. And by the time the Korean War rolled around, they were already kind of rendered obsolete due to the presence of, the Soviet MiG-15, which were solely designed to intercept. Well, not solely, but they were really damn good at taking down B-29s, that's for sure.
The other B-29 fun fact I like is that they are pretty notorious for taking out lighting on airfields.
Why? Because of their wingspan?
Because their 4-engine configuration and their wings are rather low. So if the outboard engine propellers are spinning or propped down, they can strike a lot of lighting on the airfields.
Oh, damn.
So usually when they're taxiing, you'll see them with only the inner 2 engines running, and then the outer 2 engines they'll have positioned in an X shape for more clearance.
I see.
Yeah, Sarge says that tracks. Sarge would know.
They are massive, but majestic birds, that's for sure. When I first imagined a B-17 and a B-29, before I had seen either of them in person, I always assumed that the B-17 was ultimately what the B-29's wingspan would be. Ultimately, around the size of what the B-29 is, But when I first actually, saw a B-17, they are a lot smaller than you might think. Like, you think of a massive flying fortress, right? You think, oh, it's a huge plane. You had a crew of what? Like, what was it? 10, 12?
Mm-hmm. It's
you had a
quite a number of people.
Large crew, but yeah, you had quite a few crew members in there. And you think, like, they're long-range heavy bombers. It's smaller than you might think. I mean, to put things into perspective, the B-25 Mitchell is around the same size as an F-15. Which, mind you, the F-15 is massive.
It's a tennis court.
Yeah. So it was definitely really interesting to see when I first saw each of them. Like, seeing just the scale of the B-29 and the surprisingly small B-17.
All right, and moving on to another aircraft that has a large radial engine. Oh, I skipped it. Oops. The DCS LA-7 Octopus G, the creators of it, have announced that they are approaching an early access release with the flight damage models and manual all complete.
Huh.
For those of you who don't know, the LA-7 is a historically significant fighter for the for the former Soviet Union. It was basically a bomber engine strapped onto, I think, an improved lag 3 frame. And so it meant that it was one of the first fighters the Russians made that could keep up with the German counterparts.
Oh, right, and they used a license, and of course, being the Soviets being the Soviets, couldn't design their own engine, so they ended up using a license-produced Wright radial instead.
Yep. Basically, it's the same Wright that the U.S. was using in the Sherman.
Yeah.
Oh wow, seriously?
Yep.
That is wild. Holy.
Radial engines go burr. They're,
that they do. It's one of the reasons why I really like the Shermans as well. Like, you've got a tank with a radial aircraft engine in it. It doesn't get much cooler than that. I mean, it depends on who you ask, but I think they're pretty damn cool. And I've heard them in person. It is a sound to behold.
They're very nice. I have seen, at least in New England, you see a lot of F4U, given it's a different engine, it's not a Wright, whereas it's a Pratt & Whitney, but much better, I'll say. But you see F40 Corsairs doing demos all the time, since so many of them are produced up there, and it's always amazing getting a chance to hear them.
They're so distinct when they fly over.
Like, you can't mistake that sound. Like, you kind of feel it in your bones, Like, the inline engines, the inline, what was it? Or not inline, I'm stupid.
Radial?
The V12 engines, they have their own distinct sound, like, the Merlin engines and whatnot, right? But the radials just, you feel it in your bones. You genuinely do. It's just a massive engine, it has such a presence, so that is definitely really awesome to see and hear. But yeah, from what I know, DCS isn't really known for their props. They're not really known for some of their older warbirds. And so it's cool to see that they're adding more. It's cool to see that they're adding more,
Yeah, from what I understand, the issue with DCS warbirds is that you have to buy the plane, and then you also have to buy like the World War II asset pack. So it's like a $120 buy-in just to fly a single plane.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't like that, and they're asking ED to fix that.
Yeah. It's honestly, quite frankly, it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of hesitant to get into DCS, because there's just so much that you have to buy, and the modules themselves, they're a little pricey, I will admit. But then again, they are high fidelity, highly accurate flight models. I will not deny that. I will not try to say like, oh yeah, they should be like $10, $15, because I know a lot of work went into them. So credit where credit's due. It's just it's certainly a lot less what's the word I'm looking for? Budget friendly out of the flight sims, I guess you could say.
Really, on a grand scale, not that bad though. I mean, if you look at, it's about the same price as a civilian flight simulator high fidelity airliner. So it's like, it's not like you're getting ripped off there. I mean, unless, you go to the snail and pay $75 for a jet with no functioning cockpit.
It's just more of an issue. It's just more of an issue of like, if you want to get into DCS and you don't particularly care warbirds versus jets, you could pay like $60 and you can get an F-16 and you can hop onto servers right away and you can fly it, assuming you know how to fly it. But with the warbirds, it's like, oh, you've bought this. Now you have to buy another $60 asset pack to play on any server. So that's kind of a bad barrier to entry there.
Yeah, because at least on the jet side, everything just works as is. It's like, and nobody cares if like the cars aren't accurate to the 1960s if you're flying up, a MiG-21 or whatever. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. But
There are cars,
Well, you know, like the ground asset cars that you can blow up.
the ones that are just boxes.
Like the last nuts up I was on, where I bombed that civilian SUV thinking it was a military target by accident.
Oh,
I mean, that's far from my worst war crime in DCS. Like, I've done way worse than that.
Joe, don't admit your crimes on live television.
It's fine. I've not been prosecuted or taken to the Hague yet. If I wasn't taken to the Hague for absolutely vaporizing those tents, I'm not going to be taken to the Hague for anything else unless I drop a nuclear bomb on something. And I can't do that in DCS yet. So,
yeah.
Razvab, B61 for F15E when? Come on, we have the nuclear consent switch already in the back seat. Just give it to us. Just let it have it.
Oh no. Oh no.
F111 Aardvark when?
Yes.
I am going to go ahead and make Project Wingman real on whatever map I'm on. Or if they give us a California map, I could make it just real straight up.
Axon, you say you're way closer to the ground in a warbird than a jet, but I would like to contest that because whenever I was flying in IL-2, I'd be like, oh, you know, we're up at, 9,000 meters. How high is that in feet? And it's like, oh, we're flying at the height that I fly in my jet.
Yeah, that's about 27,000 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're actually flying comparably similar altitudes. It just feels like it's lower.
Right.
Or at least if you're doing Russian versus German stuff, then you're flying below like 3,000 meters, so you're a lot lower.
I mean, one thing's for sure, like, those heavy bombers, the B-17s and the B-29s, they were up there. They were up there.
Oh yeah.
They had to have all the cold gear. That's why they had to have all, like, the oxygen tanks and all the heavy gear and all that, And speaking of B-17, I know I was talking a lot about them earlier. The TV show, The Masters of the Air.
Oh yeah.
Its finale just aired. I believe it was 2 days ago. Were you guys watching that by any chance?
I was not able to, but we know a guy who helped us that.
Air show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was our first guest.
I was actually really shocked and pleasantly surprised to see that he had a part to play on that production.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he flew the camera plane, and if you watch some shots, you can see his Su-27 flying around, and it's a little bit of an editing mistake though.
Oh,
But,
gotcha. Well, it's a good thing it was really, really pretty. It was flying so fast you couldn't even really tell. Maybe
Yeah, it's more of a blur.
17s. Yeah.
So where I was at over the week was Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida, and originally that before it became a racetrack, it's still an active airfield, but only half the field, only half the original airfield is still an airport. The other half is now a racetrack. It used to be a B-17 training base. So all that we were talking about on like Thursday or Friday night was Masters of the Air, and it was all we would talk about. I'm like, hey, I know a guy who helped make that, and they're like, what? No way!
Nice.
And it was awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get us too stuck on this for the time being. So,
Go ahead. It's fine. We don't have.
I have a lot to say about the show.
We gotta fill 2 hours or so do not worry about it.
We
We're
have
gonna
a
run
target?
off on tangent. Oh, that's usually I think where we kind of wind up usually. But like I don't want to give these people less than 2 hours of content. They're very nice viewers, mostly.
Definitely. It's a great show. It is a great show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was from the the creators, the teams behind, Band of Brothers and the Pacific, which were just phenomenal. So it definitely had the same. It captured the same sort of feel of of a historical drama. It was definitely awesome to see the story of the 100th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. Seeing the stories of and we had like shows such as like Catch 22, which came out a couple years back. That showed the bomber, the airman experience. But it's kind of far and in between. There's a million different movies about infantrymen in World War II. There's no shortage of those. but like, in this modern day and age, it's kind of rare to see the aviator story, You'll see it touched upon in movies such as like, Red Tails, but that was highly Hollywoodized, I guess. That's not a
Well,
word.
yeah,
I'm
but
making
then,
it a word now,
that's Lucasfilm, but
That's
then
Lucasfilm, yeah.
you'd expect Lucasfilm to do that, and that's like going in with realistic expectations about the movie. The movie was pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, the movie's great. It's a fun
Yeah.
time. Don't get me wrong. It's just
And-
like, let's show them a little trick I learned or something like that, and then he proceeds to do a freaking like what was it, like a Cobra maneuver in a P-51 or whatever. I forgot
mean,
exactly what the maneuver
yeah,
was,
but it was.
just like, a Mustang shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, but like it was cool because like George Lucas was always really into like World War II aviation stuff, so and
Right,
that's
yeah.
why he created, of course, the space combat scenes and in between fighters and Star Wars to look like World War II dogfights. And then he would pull some of the ship sounds would be like modified sounds from World War II planes, which was
Mhm.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's like being able to see them, how he did that, how passionate he was about that, and then him being able to go ahead and make that movie with the World War II aviation itself was. I imagine he loved working on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So it was really cool. It was a cool movie. To this day, it's like, every now and again I'll put it on and just, have a good time watching it. It's a fun movie, And right, I think I do recall learning about like, because they use a lot of World War II, assets, for lack of a better term, in the production of Star Wars. It was made in the 1970s, so World War II was only 30 years prior.
Oh yeah. In the first original movie on Tatooine, if you watch closely some of the stormtroopers, you can see that they've basically just got MG34s, but they have no barrel in them because you can see all the way through the heat shield.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the guns were just straight up World War II, like, weaponry.
Yeah.
Like, the famous stormtrooper blaster. I believe it's like it's not a Sten, but it's like it's
A
a
highly
British
modified one.
SMG. It's like a British SMG, if I'm not mistaken. And then you've got the Han Solo's DL-44, which is a Mauser. I think that's one of the most popular examples. I'm trying to think of other ones. I know in the more recent ones, in like Rogue One, they use the STG-44, the German rifle. There's just so many. There are so many because if I remember correctly, they were filming mostly in England for most of it, and with the exception, Tatooine being in Tunisia, which there's a whole story about that, about them losing the set. They lost the location of the set when they wanted to come back for the prequels. They lost it because it was in the middle of the Tunisian desert.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find it. They found it by pure chance. The Skywalker homestead.
It's crazy.
And it was wild. So definitely a lot of World War II. So so they did that because it was the cheapest option, and they figured, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they would add like these sort of like scopes and like sci-fi elements to kind of make them look less like guns, but some more so than others, that's for sure. But that is usually the design philosophy behind the blasters.
So cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's move on to the next news story. This one will make a certain spaceman happy. Spaceman this week provided us with a press release for CBW20, but it was actually a thinly veiled threat to commission yaoi fan art of Joe and I. But he did include that he's reworking the F-16 to add in the targeting pod and HTS pod. The F-16's lightning targeting pod will be a stand-in for the F-16's lantern targeting pod, which is period correct, while the HTS pod on the F-16 will act as a stand-in for the F-4G Wild Weasels. And we lost Aidrian again.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Where'd he go?
I
know,
got
like,
banished to the Shadow Realm.
I know
Let
it's
me-
tempting to like get lost in the museum, but we gotta at least finish the show first.
I
Yeah.
saw a Corsair in the corner.
Yeah, understandable. But we probably need to get. You kind of need to come back. We're
Okay.
getting there. Eventually,
working
we
on
can
it.
go
I got
and do whatever you
lost.
want in the museum.
Okay, let's see if this This
I'll dump
might
his-
work.
I'll dump his Fugi Tech in here for now.
Yeah. Man.
A stand-in. It's like I never left.
Yeah, VTube Studio is having connection issues with this thing. Well, I'll give it a try in a bit, but until then, we can just use the Fugi Tech.
That is fine by me.
Joe, you can cover this next one while I try to scramble to get this to work.
The thing. Yes, do my job. Hello. So, Flight Effects, lovely people behind the Vision Jet, and my favorite of the business jets from Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Honda Jet, have now confirmed that their program they were teasing earlier with just a cockpit reveal and nothing else. It was known originally as Project APX. Will be a Cessna Citation 10. This is one of the fastest business jets to ever be built, cruising with a maximum cruise speed of Mach 0.92 and a range of up to 3,400 nautical miles. I can go clear across the U.S. really, really fast. And it is so cool. It flies super high, well above 50,000 feet. And it is just a amazing airplane. So the first version will be just a regular Citation 10, coming with a Honeywell Primus 2000 avionics suite. No auto throttle, I don't think, and just the regular older version of the jet. But I've heard that through Flight Effects and others that what will come after is the Citation X Plus, and what that thing is it's given more power, more speed, and can cruise at I think Mach 0.935, and would also come with the Garmin G5000 avionics suite, which you see in the Cessna C700 Citation Longitude, which is already in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And if you have any experience with that, the avionics suite will be exactly the same, except you will have far more performance on this absolute beast of a jet. It is so fast, it climbs so high, and it is just an absolute 11 out of 10. I'm so excited to have this. You know, it's Flight Effects, so it's going to be a great it's going to be great work, and hopefully this comes out after tax season so I can get in, stream it, and I can be back to doing normal Jover activities, but in this case, way faster.
Now, this one doesn't look like a 737.
No, it's medium, and it's really, really fast. It's like it does one thing really well, and it's go fast.
So it's likely not to lose panels in flight. That's good to hear.
Well, yeah, it's built by the lovely people at Cessna. You know, they actually over in Wichita, put together good airplanes. Everything in real life I ever flew from them never broke on me. I can't speak for the quality of the planes after they have been received by the flight schools, and the flight schools neglect to fix things on them. But I've never had a structural failure in flight. If I did, I'd be dead and not here.
Well, we're certainly glad you're not dead.
Thank you.
Are you sure you're not a ghost?
Well, I can open the door, and I was able to bake a bunch of pizzas on Friday night, so I don't think I'm a ghost.
Man, you didn't share any pizza with me?
Good question. I've never seen
Well,
a
you should
chef
come to Sebring.
ghost. There's never been it's always like a Victorian ghost. Like, why isn't there like Tony from the pizza place ghost?
Well, because he died happy. He made pizza for a living. Clearly, he's not unhappy. There's no need for him to haunt anything.
Oh, you know what? You bring up a good point. Victorians, on the other hand, they must have been miserable.
Well, yeah, they have to be British.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say all of this to my friend who is a ghost VTuber, and she's going to be upset.
Yeah. Be sure to mention to her that I'm very sorry that she had a terminal case of British, and that I hope she's getting better soon, and maybe they can find a cure someday.
Yeah. All right, you got another plane. This one looks like a 737 to me.
So that is the PMDG 777-300ER. That'll be the first version coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's our first modern pay wear heavy, big intercontinental range, massive fucking airplane in real life, gigantic engines, really some of the most powerful engines ever attached to an airplane. And it is super cool. I will probably get it. I'm not a huge fan of how PMDG normally runs themselves as a company, but I think this will be their redemption arc here. I think if they really knock this one out of the park, I will be more than more than happy to continue giving them money in the future. And because it's like, it seems they're actually fine. They said they finally are committing to putting up the Hobby A car system in their planes after they've been dodging that for 4 years. And it is nice to see all of this coming together. Additionally, they also revealed the releases for the 737 Max. So between variants of the 777, they will release. Between the two, they make the 200 and the 300. They're doing the 300 variant first, then the 200 variant of the 777. Between those two, the 737 Max will come out from PMDG simulations as well. Which that one's nice because there's no risk of death in a computer.
So does their 777 model here accurately represent the wheels falling off the landing gear?
Perhaps. I would assume maybe not. Because we don't really have anything on the ground to smash with them. But it's my cousins helped to design the 777. They were on the original 777 projects, and they were engineers at Boeing for a very long time. One's still there actually, and that's why I like their heavy jets, because it's like, oh, my family helped to make this plane happen. They're both structural engineers. One's retired now, but they were both on the 777 from the beginning of the program. Now one of them's working on the 777X, which is pretty cool. It's like I don't hate Boeing as a company. I just wish they would do better. And this isn't the side of the business that's having trouble. It's the 737 side, really, and these guys have been just building some pretty incredible stuff. And I can't wait. I love flying the 777 in general in the flight simulators, especially if you fly it on a domestic route and it's super light and you have the ridiculous power of the General Electric GE90 engines. These things are absolute monsters. You can stand up inside the engine itself. It's insane. Let me bring up the thrust number for you, because it's just so absurd in its highest spec.
Aren't the engines on this so big that they're the diameter, like the engine cowling diameter is the diameter of the 737?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, they're massive engines.
Like I said, you could literally just you can stand up inside them with more room. So they are just absolutely absurd engines, and they're just so powerful. So their takeoff thrust on the higher variants is about 115,000 pounds of force on each engine. How many F-16s is that at full burner, Mika?
What?
How much the F-16? How much thrust does it make out full burner?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
like
it's a lot of F-16. Oh, okay. So that's 5 F-16s in one engine.
I think it's 2,800. And
then think about it. Yeah, and then you've got 2 of these engines. So it's big.
That is wild. And I was actually going to ask, because I admittedly don't know a whole lot when it comes to passenger aircraft, but I was going to ask earlier what type of engines they have, and it's certainly impressive, very impressive, and if I'm not mistaken, the 787s actually have Rolls-Royce built engines.
They have a little bit of the Rolls-Royce options have a bit of an issue compared to the General Electrics, but yeah, that is an option. You can choose to buy either General Electrics or Rolls-Royces. Rolls-Royces, if you are if you really enjoy having your engines break constantly and be maintenance nightmares.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a lot of airlines that have swapped out their Rolls-Royce engines for General Electrics. They would just get rid of them and then switch. And it's pretty cool. I really can't wait to fly that one. I think that's going to be an absolute banger. Actually, I think they gave a release date. Give me a second here. I had a brain dead moment. Yeah,
seconds.
within the next 2 months. So by May.
Okay.
So probably I would assume May because Project Tilly slipped. But
do we want to bet on if it's going to come before or after the Phantom?
Before Phantom. They've been working on this. With the deadline slip is way better on the civilian side than it is on the TCS side.
All right.
They
nice.
didn't give a release date for a long time either, because they know straight up that they'll get shredded if they give a release date then don't release it on time.
See, I think that's fair. Just be like, yeah, it's coming. We don't really know when. We'll give you like a month warning before we release.
Well, they think it's also the civilian flights inside responds very violently to pre-orders.
Oh, yeah.
They really don't like it when companies do that. Now, there was the whole Flight Sim Studio, if I remember, it was the name of the company, Embraer 175 deal, and that went so poor. I mean, we'll dedicate maybe a whole episode to that debacle someday, like an after dark episode of Tail Strike, because that was really bad. Then that's a 3-hour story arc rabbit hole. So
Joe, when we have a week without a guest, do you want to just like draft up a whole thing for that, and we'll just run that instead of the guest segment?
Oh yeah. I was just like, of like airplane developers behaving poorly. We'll make that a special episode.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was. We'll save it for them because it is really, really, really bad what they did, and yeah, we'll see. And it's, oh gosh, the whole I like Axon's idea, just a whole episode of Joe and me rants.
There would be too. We'll just do a rant segment. We'll just do a rant segment. We'll alternate which person gets to rant.
Yeah, we could make some good content out if we just made a whole episode out of that. Especially no, I'm kidding. I won't do it again this week. But that's cool plane made out of cool plane stuff. It's very exciting. Can't wait to have it.
All right, next up, I see you've got another heavy, but this one actually has 4 engines, so this must be a 747.
Close enough. You're learning, Mika. Good job, buddy. Who says you can't? Well, actually, no, you're not really all that old. You can't. Who says you can't teach
I'm like
medium
190 in dog years?
Yeah. Who says you can't teach a 190-year-old dog new tricks? You're getting there. We'll be there soon. Okay. So this is much more exciting than anything that I saw at PMDG. Sorry, PMDG. I just don't like coughing up $80, $90 for your stuff. This is free, completely free, free $99. You don't pay a penny for this. So fly-by-wire simulations, they're an open source freeware development group made out of, I think, a few hundred people all just clacking away on keyboards doing whatever the hell coders do to make airplanes. And they have produced an amazing new preview of the Airbus A380 they've been working on for the better part of, I think, 3-4 years. And it's amazing because they do a full startup sequence and they go take off. And that plane looks almost complete, which is incredible. Because a few years ago, it was the talk was, we'll never get an A350 or an A380 that's accurate because Airbus won't hand over the data. And then Airbus did. So that's why we're getting an A350 mini builds, as we covered a few episodes ago. I think we're actually like 7 episodes ago. I think it was episode 2 or episode 3. But this is like the shit. Like, this is like going to be a game changer because you'll have the largest passenger aircraft in the world ever produced available to you without paying a penny, and continuously improved all the time because it's an open source project where people donate their time and donate their effort. and they have a better development group than most companies because they don't have to pay their workers. Nobody pays anything. Nobody pays for them for anything, and they just go and they work together and just build something amazing like this. And to see that this is a completely open source thing being made, and it's on looks to be on payware quality, if not better than anything on the payware market, without you paying a penny, it's pretty good. And then to the point where even Microsoft backs them. You can just straight up download it for free from the in-game marketplace. Their A320 at least that they've done, and I assume this will be the same because it'll be completely free of charge, and it's just good quality work and a good plane.
So you don't have to pay a penny for it, but how many pennies can it carry?
A lot. In a maximum configuration, it can carry over 800 passengers if it's all economy.
So 800 passengers worth of pennies. How many is that?
Well, I mean, how many pennies do you think you can fit into your pocket?
Maybe like 200 if I've got 2 pockets.
All right. Hold on, give me a minute here. Let me think about
Key
this.
numbers. You gotta wear cargo pants like yours truly.
Oh yeah. Cargo shorts.
All right,
No,
so
no,
you
no,
have 200
not cargo
pennies.
shorts, cargo pants.
Ah.
Yeah,
let's-
shorts are
let's
not
just-
stylish. Cargo shorts are
Yeah.
if you want to wear the Legend of Zelda fit. Cargo pants. Now that's tactical.
Yeah, but assuming people are just wearing regular shorts or whatever, they're not, because we can't account for everybody having cargo pants. Cargo pants always have different counts of pockets between different types of cargo pants, and you just can't really account for that, and it's pretty difficult. But at a maximum thing of passengers, that's 853 passengers, 200 pennies a person, 171,600 pennies,
Nice.
and that's that's only $1,700.
That's only what?
Only $1,700 between all the people bringing all those pennies.
See, it's a very affordable jet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and exactly. They do appreciate donations, but the whole point is that it is free. Free 99. When it comes out, you should get it. There's no excuse not to. It's literally free. Just take it. It's free real estate.
Shut up and take the plane.
Yeah, just have the plane. It's completely
You
free.
will get an Airbus, and you will like it.
And it's like, why not? It's a novelty. The thing's gigantic. Have you ever seen one in person? They look like they should not be able to fly, and then they do.
They are
And like the
massive,
wings are like, because they're so heavy, they droop down, and then you see them like slowly rise up as the airplane gets ready to take off. And as they rise up, then they rotate the plane up, and they pitch up, for the rotation, and you see this absolute lumbering whale beast thing take off, and you're just like, oh, that thing's fucking huge, and it flies away. And it performs exceptionally well. It's got an amazing range despite its size. It flies super high when you start burning the fuel out of it, and it's just genuinely really, really cool. And I'm just so excited for this. When I was a young kid, Pratt Whitney was one of the primary engine partners on the Airbus A380 project. So when the A380 did its original world tour around the world, they took it to pretty much everywhere that had, was either a big city or had a significant amount of production in the well, it was actually Rolls-Royce Trent eventually they came out, but it was they were one of the partners on the shut up, Exxon. But they brought it around the world to different places for people that contributed to the airplane, and one of those places happened to be Hartford, Connecticut, and they went to Bradley International Airport. I'm okay talking about this because I don't live there anymore, but just to see a plane that insanely huge next to just there. This little tiny airport that never really sees anything bigger than a 737 was absolutely amazing. And you got to get up close and just see the sheer size of this machine. And I'm so glad that it's making a comeback in like the airline world too, just because of how immensely cool it is.
4-engine planes need to make a comeback.
Yep. Well, I mean, of how big demand is now, like you're starting to see like it's you're starting to see it's a how do I put it? You're starting to see like, well, at least on people who were on a hub and spoke model, saying like, okay, we have slot constraints. The only thing we can do now, for example, Heathrow, they can't build that third runway now ever, so they're completely slot constrained forever. So like, okay, the only thing we can do now is we have to build bigger planes to move more people because we can't add more planes to move more people. So you have that. And I also agree, Sarge. I hope that she does ball holish the A380 because they'll come with a paint kit for it. So, and then you have a real chance to make a really, really, really big shark.
You mean a big fish?
Well, no, because we're not talking about the person. We're talking about the airplane. So the airplane would be that would just be a really big shark, not a big fish.
No, it'd be a big fish.
Well, I guess yeah. I mean, I sort of, but yeah, I'm trying not to get my ass beat later, Mika. That's kind of what it. I can hear the knife I can hear the knife flying across the ocean towards my house right now, or worse, wooden spoon. But well, actually no, I think I'm better in the kitchen than her, so I probably the only one with access to spoons. But yeah, it's cool. I'm so excited. And it was the Engine Alliance GP7000 that Pratt & Whitney held the build for that one. So that was to compete against Rolls-Royce because they knew Rolls-Royce was a preferred option for being European. They decided, all right, we hate each other normally at General Electric and Pratt & Whitney, but we will work together on this one. And they built the GP7000, and it is chunky, and it makes a lot of thrust. So each one makes about 81,000 pounds of thrust. And you multiply that across 4 engines. That's over 324,000 pounds of thrust at takeoff to propel this absolute monstrosity into the air. So it's gonna be so cool. I want it. $399. And I think Mika's had enough of this, so let's go to the next story.
That's more than 11 F-16s of thrust.
Yeah. Your whole squadron cannot make the thrust of this airplane.
All right, and you said the A380 is making a comeback. You know what else is making a comeback or made a comeback this past week?
What?
A 3-ton pallet of batteries discarded from the International Space Station in 2021. It finally entered the atmosphere to burn up. The pallet was tossed away from the ISS using the infamous Canadarm and slowly had its orbit decaying ever since. Normally, start calling the what?
No, keep going. I'll say this for later.
Normally, down mass, which means mass brought, or garbage. Sorry, that's technically not a down mass, but normally garbage of this mass is entered controllably. However, due to inavailability of the Japanese HTV cargo ship, this was not an option, so they just tossed it into the atmosphere to see what would happen. So if you live somewhere near the Gulf of Mexico, you might be breathing in atomized batteries.
Oh no.
Hey, wait a minute. There's a double standard here. So NASA gets to dump batteries into the ocean, but when I do it, all of a sudden it's a problem.
There's nothing wrong with doing that either. You're just charging the electric eels up. They need the electricity to live.
Exactly. I am trying.
But
I'm trying to save nature. I'm trying to keep the ecosystem, the environment healthy.
But and yet they want to stop us from putting the car batteries in the ocean to charge eels.
Shaking my SMH. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, exactly. It's truly unacceptable. Mika, I good thing I was next to a burning couch yesterday, or else I think I replaced the battery cancer particles with burning couch cancer particles. So that's
no,
cool.
This actually re-entered Friday, March the 8th.
Oh, yeah, so either way, I still replaced them. That's good.
Okay.
So now it's just microplastics instead.
The generations before us had the lead poisoning. And what was the other one? There was lead, and then there was coal, and they had all the other kinds. But now we get to live in the era of microplastics.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? Arsons are cool.
Yeah.
At least you can make stuff out of microplastics.
Yeah, exactly. You know what would be sick? I hope science one day. I hope science reaches the point where they can extract all the microplastics from your body, and then you can like 3D print it into anything of your choice. That'd be kind of
That's
sick.
pretty cool.
Oh
Like,
god.
there you go. You can make plane models with that shit.
That would be cool. I hope we can do that someday.
That's my goal. I want to live long enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. I want to do that. Like, I want to have like all my microplastics turned into plane models.
There you go.
It was literally free plane model. Like, what could be better than that? Well, actually, whatever the price was of my health insurance plane model, not free, but well, you know, it's fine. Actually,
It's a
probably
nice
would still have to
bonus.
pay my copay, but I probably have to still pay my copay too, depending on where they do it.
A small price to pay for bodily made
Oh.
plane model. That is so strange
Actually,
out of context. That is
My,
so strange.
my copay is actually like $75. I might actually be better off just buying the plane model,
Mhm.
depending on what institution I go to.
But can
Yeah,
you say
that's-
that it came from your body? Exactly.
Probably not, but you know. I have plants outside I could turn into plant fibers to be a plastic substitute, probably, if I went to the right person to do that, but, you know. Well,
All right.
actually,
I'd like
Only if it didn't
to. No, we're just gonna keep stuff.
well,
Go ahead.
I'd only pay 70 or 75 if I went to a urgent care. It's only like $25 if I went to a regular doctor, or $10. So maybe it wouldn't be such a bad deal depending on where they do this procedure at. Hospital, my copay is $0. So
All right, and I'd like to, before we move on to the next story, I'd like to tie this in with something we mentioned before in a previous episode. So, of note here is that this was supposed to be loaded onto the Japanese HTV cargo ship. Yes, we mentioned that this episode already, but we brought up before that that Japan does have a special cargo supply ship for the ISS that is capable of bringing cargo to or away from the ISS that no other cargo vehicle is currently capable of. Even the SpaceX crew, even the SpaceX Dragon is not capable of it. And so it's a unique and interesting capability that Japan maintains.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that Japan supplies the ISS, although it's not terribly frequently. They tend to supply more bulky experiments and components.
If
And
I'm not
next,
mistaken, they launch most of their spacecraft from an island on the south of the main islands of Japan, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yes, they
from
do.
Tanegashima.
yeah, and you
Yeah,
can actually
that's the one,
fly
that's
to
the one.
Tanegashima in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've done that.
I was watching a documentary about that island the other day, like I think 2 or 3 days ago. It's really fascinating stuff, and it's cool because the space program is so, integrated into the local culture there. Like it's a huge event every time there's a launch. Like the whole town kind of gathers around and they just kind of sit around to watch it, and it's really cool, And then you see it reflected in the local shops and businesses there. It's super super cool.
It's about the same as what we do on the Space Coast before. Is just not all of us get together. It's you have like I don't go to my old spot anymore because it's now overrun with people who moved here and tourists and whatnot. But it's rather transplants from other states that came like for space tourism and whatnot. But it's I can still watch from my backyard just fine. I can just look out my window or just walk right out onto my patio and just look out. I'm like, oh, there's the rocket.
There you go.
Oh, it's a blast. I love it. Weird,
All
'cause,
right.
like now it's like regular to see rocket launchers. So they don't really stick out to me very much anymore.
Next up, we have a rocket launch. SpaceX Starship. I wrote a lot for this one because it's pretty exciting. Such a massive launch vehicle being tested out. They launched their third full Starship prototype. this past week, with the goals being a soft splashdown of the booster stage and a hard splashdown of the Starship upper stage. The flight focus was primarily on super and hypersonic performance of the Starship stage during reentry, as well as the staging capability of the whole system. We were able to get some brilliant shots of the reentry heating due to the cameras they place on the vehicle. So from this shot that we have, they actually had a camera placed on the upper fin, upper control fin. So you can really see the atmospheric heating from reentry, and it's super cool. But unfortunately, the Starship was lost on entry. I speculate that the vehicle is probably not in the correct orientation for reentry, as it generally appeared that the port side fin, the one we're looking at, was typically oriented rear of the direction of travel instead of to the side, which would have put the starboard side of the vehicle exposed to reentry heat. The first stage also experienced a failure of its intended soft splashdown goal. Instead of 2 engines relighting for the landing burn, only one managed to relight. And since a little while ago, they've had it set up so that it will light 3 engines, and then if at least 2 work, it'll shut down one of them. But that did not happen, so out of 3 engines, 2 did not work, and only 1 worked, which is not enough for their soft splashdown and goal. And this is pretty endemic of what we've seen of the new Raptor engines. They're a pretty complex full-flow stage combustion engine. Currently, there are only 3 engine designs of that type. The RD-270 that has never flown, the US Integrated Powerhead Demonstrator, which has also never flown, and the US Raptor engine, which has flown a fair number of times at this point, but is still running into troubles. And Starship is an integral part of NASA's plan to put humans back on the moon, specifically requiring it as one of the landing stage options. There are alternatives to the Starship as a landing option, but those are still under work. But it is also required as a propellant transfer capability to refuel the missions so they can get to the proposed lunar gateway, as well as they require its large capacity to launch portions of the lunar gateway.
Oh, call it fashion, but if I'm not mistaken, there was a recent project by NASA. I think it was it called the Artemis project?
Yeah, Artemis is this.
Oh, so this is Artemis. Okay, gotcha. What was there was one this is one and the same, the one that orbited the moon and came back and all that?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think the next Artemis mission, Artemis 2, is going to launch astronauts to fly by the moon and then come back. And then Artemis 3 is supposed to put astronauts on the moon. However, SpaceX Starship is not quite ready, because I think they were targeting like 2025. Starship is almost certainly not going to be ready by 2025. Orion is charging ahead a bit dangerously without testing, because it was going to be that humans were put on the Orion spacecraft on its 3rd ever space launch, which to me is a bit yikes. Then the alternatives to Starship for the landing phase basically aren't even existing yet. They're still on design board, not even in prototyping.
I do like that the rocket itself is reminiscent of the Saturn V's of the 60s.
Massive numbers of engines. Or no, the Saturn V only had a few engines.
It was like a 3-stage rocket.
Yeah, Starship's only 2 stages.
I see.
It'll be interesting to see how they do. I wish NASA would do something about the absurd cost of SLS, because SLS could be an alternative if Starship doesn't work, but my god, $1 billion per rocket is so high.
Falcon 9 go burr.
Well, the Falcon 9 doesn't have the launch capability, doesn't have the payload capability.
Well, they were saying earlier this would replace Falcon 9, and that's just not going to happen.
Well, they were saying that this should replace Falcon 9 Heavy, So Falcon 9 Heavy is the kit bashed. We crammed 2 extra boosters onto the Falcon 9 to make it go faster and more payload. And
well,
initially,
they claim.
Oh, go ahead.
They initially claimed that this would replace Falcon 9 as a whole, and that
Maybe.
they would just do all launches. And that's like, I don't think they understood that that the market for satellite launches is very much like they would rather have their own rocket than share with others. Is usually the preferred option, especially on government payloads. And so I don't see Falcon 9 or really, regular rockets really going away anytime soon. I think it's just going to keep going as people want to launch on their own, and it's impractical to pay $1 billion for a single launch on a single spacecraft.
Yeah, but we need some of the larger vehicles just to do
of course
certain things. Because like Starship isn't really like, I don't think it's ever going to replace anything. It's pretty much more of an excuse to, hey, I want to build a thing that can go to Mars because cool.
Well, one of the interesting ideas I saw was they have a concept of this with an opening cargo bay door on the front. And the idea was, what if we go capture the Hubble Space Telescope and bring it back and display it as a museum piece at NASA?
Christ.
And I'm like, it's a lot better than just letting it fall or just letting it die. Go get it. Why not?
That would be a massive flex of humanity's technological prowess, that's for sure.
Just, go get it and make it a museum piece. Why not? Just try. It's a lot better than just letting it die. Even if it may break if it breaks, we would have lost it anyway. Or it lands in one piece.
Honestly, I'd like the idea more of we take the Hubble telescope and we boost it into like a museum orbit.
Yeah.
Oh.
But we won't go to space. Us normal people probably won't go to space anytime soon. So I'd rather they come bring it back to Florida and we can all go see it. Yeah, I know, me too. But but in this case, we can, if they bring it back to Florida, we all know we can go see it.
I'm a terrestrial pilot. All this space stuff is a little above me.
Yeah.
But the concept of it is really fascinating. It's really cool and it's exciting to see. And it's a shame. I mean, there's definitely bigger fish to fry and more problems here on Earth, but one must wonder if we would have, kind of put some more time and effort into, space development and the space program as a whole, where we would have been. But then again, I think it's a bit of a ways away. I think a lot of things would need to be sorted out, and I feel like if humanity, and this is one big if humanity could somehow pull together our resources, that would probably be the only feasible way to make leaps and bounds of progress into space travel and all that, But again, pretty unlikely, but who knows?
We had some great collaboration with Russia, and then Russia decided to make the worst military decision in the history of military decisions.
And then again, the Soyuz is very aging. It's an ancient rocket.
It's ancient, but it's got a great reliability record, man.
It's the Honda Civic of the space program.
Yeah, or at least I should say it had, because going up with big holes drilled in it is not a great look now.
Yeah.
All right, and then I've got one more space story before we move into the guest question and answer.
Alrighty.
Voyager, the 50-year-old probe, man, is still trucking along. This is Voyager 1 specifically. It has been having computer trouble since November 2023, so about 4-ish months. But after continued efforts, NASA was able to get an intelligible message back from the aging probe. With Voyager's distance from Earth exceeding 15 billion miles, a signal takes over 22 hours to reach the spacecraft. So the Voyager probes are really reaching their limits. They're powered by RTGs, the isotope thermal generators.
Yep.
And they're sitting at I think less than half of their output capacity, so they have to be very careful and selective with what they power on from these things.
guess all good things must come to an end sometime, huh?
Mm-hmm. All right. Question and answer time. Joe, do you want to take the highlighted or the non-highlighted ones this week?
Let me see what we've got. I'll go non-highlighted today. I think. Oh wait, no, I went non-highlighted last time. Let's go highlighted today.
All right.
Yeah, let's flip around. All right. This is a you specific question, Mr. the Guest Guy.
Oh.
Is it hard maintaining such an old fighter for modern mercenary operations?
It certainly has its challenges. It certainly has its, maintenance and all of that is always definitely on the forefront of all of our minds. As far as old, I don't know if old is the right word I'd use to describe it, seeing as it saw service only about 20 years ago for me. It was only like roughly 20 years ago. So we do still have a lot of the mechanics that worked on them have now since left and become mercenaries out here on our island. It is indeed a pretty good and well-oiled operation, if I say so myself. So there's definitely no shortage of surplus that we can use and that we scavenge for actively to maintain our fleet of mercenary aircraft.
Do you think the approaching jet age of aircraft is a threat to your operations with prop planes?
What's a jet?
Those new things that fly around without propellers?
Oh, you know what? I think I might have heard a couple rumors about that. I assumed they were just sailor's tales. I know that we don't have a whole lot of contact with the old US, ever since everything kind of went to shit. But everything, with the rifts and all the monsters appearing. And so they've had their hands full. We've had our hands full, and we kind of keep to our own. We do trade with some of the West Coast cities that still remain, some of the remaining ones. So we have very minimal contact. We just get the supplies from them and sometimes ammunition, stuff like that. As far as developments of new aircraft, well, that'd be cool. That would be cool. I think it's something that we'd take an avid interest in, but we're more than capable of doing quite a bit of damage with our old warbirds. That's for sure.
Nice. I like my nice technologically advanced Strike Eagle, which is my normal ride in the back seat. I don't. Sometimes the Shark Lady forces me into a Tomcat, and I am bashing my head against the front, the instrument panel, trying to get that stupid thing to work and do what I want it to do. It's just, I like my just high functionality ability to just annihilate anything I wish on the ground. I think that's how I put it.
Always a plus. It's always a plus for sure.
Yeah.
I partake in quite a bit of ground attack, ground strike missions myself. Mostly because it's a Corsair. It'd be a waste not to, And they're in pretty high demand with a lot of the warring factions out here in the Pacific. There's always targets to strike, whether it's a monster, whether it's a pirate base. There's no shortage of it. And business is booming, quite literally.
Yeah, and it's it's nice to be in the Strike Eagle. You drop a 2,000 pounder on a group of tents. Not exactly positive identified whether it's a military target or not, but they look military enough, and boom, it's all gone. All of it's gone. Every shred of it, completely gone. You think of that 500 kilogram bomb from Helldivers 2, multiply that by 2. That's what I just dropped.
There you go. Yeah.
500 kilograms times 2 is oh wait, yeah. I can't math. I can't math.
I can measure quite well, Mr. Lamika.
Math is overrated. No, I'm just kidding.
It's really kind of probably
good at it.
I mean, it's probably closer to about 2,400 pounds, but it's it's a rounding error. But it's I have to constantly flip between metric and US, so my brain just does both pretty okay.
This is going to be a bit of a hot take, but I genuinely think we should have switched to the metric system.
Yeah, we tried to do it a few times.
Okay.
We actually tried to do it originally in the 1700s, because we felt wait a minute. Sorry, it was I think the early 1800s, because I want to say it was Jefferson who was behind the idea, because we felt that the imperial system was too close to England and kings, but the metric system was for free-thinking countries who wished to move away from old imperial units. And France was a little busy doing their little fun little moment of monarchy deletion over there. And like, well, and around the same time the metric system comes out. And like, well, if they're doing that and using the metric system, we should too. And then we fumbled that bag for the next 200 years.
Okay.
More than 200 years.
I've got 2 points on this. 2 points. First off, when France sent the metric system over to the US because they physically put things on ships, sent them to every big country they cared about. When they did that, it was during about 1812, and French ship going to US 1812 gets sunk by Brits because, God damn it, Britain.
Yeah, War of 1812.
Anybody who says that the US is not a metric country doesn't work with units.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we are very much a metric country in everything except for what is reported to the consumer.
Where is my 10mm socket?
Oh yeah, true.
Automotive is all metric. Like every industry is all metric.
So many of those.
I mean, I told you the horror story last week of the team switching from a US-based car, all in Imperial units, to a Lexus GT car, and everything being in metric, and they forgot to buy the new tools.
Oof.
But it was, that was a plenty of strip bolts that weekend.
The only things I would like us to really ditch is that the big problem in engineering for me is like our machine shop is all stocked with English stuff instead of metric stuff, but that's more of just we need to slap our company around and be like, stop buying English fucking bolts, we don't need these.
I mean, this thing is like, and then we tried it again in the 70s and failed. And the worst part is we have remnants of this in Tennessee. If you're driving through Knoxville, Tennessee, heading west towards Nashville, if you go between about the airport and Oak Ridge, the signs are in metric because there's so many international signs that's going to Oak Ridge that it makes it easier for them to find their way there. If we have all the signs in metric, this can be done. We have the money to do it. We can just change the fucking signs. All of our speedometers are already in metric already. The digital ones, you just push a button and switch. On the analog ones, we have it displayed in kilometers too. Because guess who's right to our north and right to our south? 2 metric countries that you can drive into. So there's really no excuse anymore. Just switch.
Well,
switch.
Again, the age-old problem is, what do we have to benefit from switching, say, the highway roads over to Imperial? There's no money to be gained from it.
Yeah, but well, actually, the sign companies has a lot of money to gain from it. You can create jobs for placing the signs.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like this is a win for us. Like we can just switch to base 10. Everything's. I already, my brain from flying already is in Celsius, and already in metric. I prefer metric for fuel stuff. I prefer metric for pretty much everything. It's like, let's do it. Just do it. Like the only thing I don't do it for is speed and distance.
A little bit of a counterpoint here. Americans as a whole, we get really comfortable, and we're kind of slow when it comes to like widespread changes. Especially, I feel like something like this, like, you know, I feel like to try to educate and try to update every American to the metric system, that would be the biggest hurdle in the way. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, like, you know, changing signs, that'd be cool. Like, you know, that'd be all well and good. But I feel like a lot of Americans, a good majority, might just flat out refuse it.
But a bunch of countries already. A bunch of countries already did it, though. They already flipped from imperial to metric.
I would like to point out,
they're not us. We Americans, we're
I would
something
like to
stubborn.
point out that a lot of countries, when they switched from their old units to metric, they had like mild rioting and revolutions, and people were very upset about it.
I mean, how many of our firearm calibers are already in metric anyway?
I mean, they're standardized as both.
But like, I don't know. If we as a country can't figure out how to use base 10 units, they get mad at using base 10 units, we don't have any hope anymore. It's the easiest math you can do. Is remove and add zeros.
Base 12 is honestly pretty easy though. Like you just have something and you can have it again and you can have it again. Whereas like if I've got 10 and I have it, it's 5, and if I have 5 and I have it, it's now 2.5 and it's decimals, and fuck that. Like have you given a fraction to a German and watched their head explode?
Why do they do everything with decimals instead?
Yeah.
Yeah, decimals are better, honestly. Fuck fractions. All my
No, fractions are easy. You know,
No.
3/8 is great.
See,
Yeah.
a quarter I could get behind. 50, 50 over 100, whatever. That's fine. Like, all the usual ones, like, 25, 50, 75. That's fine by me. Everything past that?
Well, 3/8 is simple. You take a quarter and you take half of a quarter and you stick them together, and that's 3/8.
My head hurts.
It's fractions. It's simple.
Don't get it away from me! It's not simple. But anywho, what's the next question?
Next question is, how did you get started in with flight sims / what was your first flight sim?
Ooh, so admittedly, I don't do a whole lot of flight sims proper. As far as flight games, I have been playing them since I was a kid. I've been playing them since I was a kid. I grew up playing primarily, I don't know if this would count, but some of the Star Wars games. I played a game called Hawks with an X. I believe it's what it was called, Hawks. It was a Tom Clancy game. That one was an interesting one. I don't remember a whole lot from it. But also at the arcade, there was this really cool arcade game. I forget the name of it, but I think so it was like a bubble. It was like one of those enclosed arcade games that you kind of climb into. And it was an F-14 Tomcat. Like, it was a naval game, naval aviation game. And I totally am blanking on it, but it had like the Jolly Rogers, sort of paint scheme around the cabinet, I guess you could say. And that just like, I loved playing them. Like, going into those arcades, doing that one, doing the Star Wars ones. It kind of went hand in hand. But as far as flight sims proper, I feel like War Thunder was my first kind of introduction into like a more realistic flight game, because I did play a little bit of Ace Combat beforehand. With Ace Combat 7, I know, sacrilege, right? Jumping in so late into the franchise, but it was one that I got when it was, I think it was free for PlayStation Network or whatever the promotional monthly game it was, That's when I first played Ace C7, and awesome game, by the way, awesome series, awesome franchise. But War Thunder was my first introduction into a more realistic flight sim, so to speak. I know War Thunder's on the more arcadey side, even with their sim battles. But as of recently, I got into IL-2.
Ooh.
And it is night and day, It is really cool. I'm really enjoying it so far. I should really do that again one of these days. But it's really cool, I have a very rudimentary entry-level flight stick and throttle. It is a Thrustmaster, it's a plastic one, but you know what? It's cool. It's a whole different beast, and I'm really liking it. I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully I can do more in the future.
Yeah, we're not elitist here. If it's a plain game, I think it counts. There's no need to like differentiate. Like, oh, this one's super realistic. Whatever's fun, it's fun.
Yeah, but eventually I'll get into DCS. I'm waiting on that Corsair.
Which one?
I am waiting on that Corsair. Because I refuse to fly another Mustang. Never again. I mean, maybe sometimes, but never if I can help it.
Oh, the Mustang is so fun. You just you're in a turn fight, and now suddenly you're spinning towards the ground.
I'm good. I think I'm good. What about the Jug? I do like the Jug. I love the Jug. The P-47 is an amazing plane. I think the way I like to look at it, the Corsair is essentially the naval P-47 in roles, because you could argue that the Hellcat, right? The Hellcat is more of a equivalent of the P-47 overall in shape and whatnot and size, but the Corsair role-wise was more aligned with the P-47 because the Corsair towards the end of the war was used mostly for ground strike, ground attack, close air support. Same thing with the P-47. So,
well,
naval P-47.
when you get to the late war and there's not many things in the air for you to shoot at.
Yeah, true. Fair point. However, I will say, and don't take this out of context, I'm admitting this very begrudgingly, okay?
Okay.
The Hellcat is a better dogfighter than the Corsair. There's just no ifs and or buts about it. It's got a better turn rate. It was able to go toe to toe with Zeros. At the end of the day, the Corsair is very much still a boom and zoom. It's very much still a boom and zoom. As most American planes were. But the Hellcat was kind of like this nice middle ground between a turn fighter and a boom and zoomer. So, Ace, what was it called? Like a jack of all trades, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But the Corsair had it beat when it came to ground attack and close air support, I would say. It could carry a lot more. The Jug is in DCS? I had no idea, actually.
Yeah, it's been
I didn't
for a
know the
while.
Jug was in DCS.
You can accurately blow up your turbo with it.
Hey, nice.
All right, Joe, you're up next.
Yes, it is my turn.
Oh, do I need to highlight it for you?
Oh. Yeah, why did you become a content creator? Why'd you do that to yourself?
Ooh, that is a good question. That is a really good question. Okay, so why did I become a content creator? I grew up watching a lot of content creators, on YouTube. I grew up with, a lot of gaming channels. I grew up watching that and was just fascinated by it. And I feel like along with a lot of kids growing up, we see these big personalities. We see these people that are making a huge show, making a production out of gaming. Something that, kind of is a common denominator in a lot of people's childhoods. And I at the time I was just like, oh, how cool would that be? How cool would it be to make videos, make all that, make that, and all this? And I would always laugh at how they would do clever edits or jokes that they would edit in, or the sound, the music that they would put in, the whole spectacle of it all just really appealed to me. And then I also throughout school, I was a theater kid. I was admittedly, Batman would have to make me admit this, but I will willingly admit it. I was a theater kid and I enjoyed acting. I enjoyed acting, going up on stage and making people smile, making people happy. I know it sounds cheesy as hell, but genuinely it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy putting on a show and I enjoy being a part of a production, and when I found out about VTubing, when I found out about streaming, it's essentially, the way I like to think of it is it's like a one-man production. It's you're putting on a one-man show essentially. I know there's I couldn't have done this without all the wonderful artists and people who rigged the model, all the assets that went into it. Definitely credit where credit's due. But at the end of the day, you are going up there, so to speak, on this internet stage, and you are putting on a production for people, and it is something that I'm pretty passionate about. I throughout school, in addition to the acting, I did digital media classes, which included video production. And when I found out about VTubing, I figured that it was the culmination of everything that I enjoyed and was somewhat good at. I had a bit of experience in essentially all the components that go into VTubing, and I'm just like, this is perfect. It is everything I could ever want. It's everything I could ever ask for. It's right up my alley, so to speak. And it's definitely challenging. It is definitely challenging in its own way, as all content creation is. Because there's so much going on behind the scenes that you don't really see. But it's a labor of love. It is a labor of love, and it's allowed me to meet so many amazing people, to connect with so many people, and just kind of share the passions and share the experiences, like, whether it's like, through a game or just, kind of shooting the breeze, or, being on a talk show like this. It's just it's a really cool experience, and it's just every step of the way it's been a lot of fun, for sure.
All right. And do you have any goals since you've started VTubing?
I've got a few couple goals here and there, for sure. I definitely want to in the intro I mentioned that I have like a sort of a machinima sort of hybrid type of content creation that I do plan on furthering. I want to continue to tell the story of us mercs out here in the Pacific. Like, there's so much lore that I would like to share with you guys. And another thing that I want to incorporate, and I have in some of my previous lore streams, is that audience, you guys as an audience are welcome to, kind of make your own OC and to be a mercenary and to participate and exist in this world. You know what I mean? And you could just say like, oh yeah, I fly this plane, or I fly this aircraft, I fly this. This is what I do. These are the kind of quests I go on. And it's I've always that's the sort of thing I'm shooting for. Like, I want it to be an experience that can be shared, not only with me, not only me sharing the stories, sharing the the videos or the streams or the community events, which I do plan on doing more of interactive community events that are canon to the story. I've done one already, but each of these events will be like a mission that was embarked upon, or maybe it's like defending, like it's something like that. And I really want to explore that avenue, and I'm really excited for the possibilities that may bring.
Do you have an Avenger bomber that I can hop in?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because I love those darn things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're huge. They're
massive.
With a ball turret and everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's like like just if you can find an aircraft and it's like if it's around, definitely there's no shortage of naval aircraft around here. So, and there you go. Feel free to hop right in. We're always recruiting new mercs, that's for sure. Because, admittedly, we're losing a bunch of them.
Oh.
But hey,
sounds better than my current job.
That's the life of a merc.
I'll sign up.
Yeah.
Psst, Joe.
Yes. Do job. Can you tell I was can you tell I have like no energy left after this week?
Someone drank too much last night.
Yes. What? Hey, I was safe to drive home. I did not drink. I drank a bunch during the day, but I had to give myself 6 hours to recover. So, we got started like, I'll tell this off stream. I can't talk about this here. This is not something I can do on stream. God. Yeah. All right. Favorite airplane. 10 episodes, Sarge. 10 episodes. Favorite airplane. Mr. the lovely Aidrian, the guest fan.
I think we know the answer to this one.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. Sometimes we get a shocker, so.
Okay. Well, my favorite aircraft is actually the P-26P. No, I'm just kidding.
God, I haven't flown that
Although
the P-shooter
is great. The P-shooter is great, but I will say my favorite aircraft, hands down, is always going to be the F4U Corsair. It's a beautiful aircraft. It's very unique. It has it leaves a lasting impression on those who see it. The Corsair always has and will be my favorite. It's an amazing aircraft, truly. Like, for all its faults, it makes up for them. For sure. But aside from the Corsair, I am a pretty big fan of the P-38 Lightning.
Good choice.
P-38 was a phenomenal fighter interceptor. And one of my favorite memories I have of visiting an air museum is I saw the P-38. I was just like, oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. It was the first time I saw one, I believe. And I asked one of the the museum volunteers. I said, hey, would it be okay if I kind of ducked under and just kind of hung out in the space in between the two booms. So I was just chilling there for like a while, just kind of like taking it all in. I was just like, oh wow, this is pretty awesome, you know. You know, the Lightning is an awesome aircraft. You know, 20 mils in addition to the nose mounted 50 cals. It's fast. It is fast. You know, I've seen them fly as well. They are something else. And I know we mentioned, I think Joe mentioned earlier that they use some sounds in Star Wars from like, you know, World War II aircraft. That is one of them. The speeder bikes on Endor in Return of the Jedi was sampled from a P-38 Lightning.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And another little fun fact, you know, car culture in the 1950s with the huge wings, the huge fins kind of coming out from the rear of the car.
Uh-huh.
Also inspired by the P-38.
So, fun fact along with that, the Ford Mustang is not actually named after the horse. It's named after the plane, which is why on Mustangs, you'll see that the speedometer says ground speed.
Oh,
wow.
Interesting.
I had no idea. Holy, wow.
Uh-huh.
That is crazy. You
Well,
know,
I guess
it's funny
back at
because I saw a Mustang. I think it was a 1960s Mustang at a car show recently, and it was designed after a P-51. Like the wrap that he had on there, like, you know, decals and all that, were made to emulate a P-51. And it even said on the hood, it said P-51 Mustang, and I thought that was the coolest thing, you know.
But was it the bubble canopy or Razorback?
I think more of a racerback, although that'd be sick. Imagine a bubble canopy on a car, holy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's like concept cars and whatnot that have that, but actually, why don't we have that? Why don't we have
Rollover requirements.
Well, just roll cage.
Well, then it's not a bubble canopy.
Would it? I guess you're right, huh? Well, damn. But it would be cool to see. Or just simply don't roll over, lol.
Yeah, just get good. Skill issue.
Get good, yeah. Oh, man.
All right, next up, what is your least favorite airplane? And this doesn't have to be like, oh, this plane is objectively bad. It could just be this, you know, oh, I just irrationally hate this one plane.
Ooh, that is a good question. Because I feel like a good amount of aircraft can fit that bill.
And if you don't just have one, you can do like one per era, or you can do like 3.
That's kind of a tough one, admittedly, but I gotta really think about this. So here's the funny thing, though. Here's the funny thing. You ready? It would be easy to say the F-104 Starfighter, right? High pilot fatality rate, right? Historically bad. Historically made to be an interceptor, but it was used as a multi-role fighter. Or multi-role aircraft. Not because then if multi-role, it's not just a fighter. Sorry. But bad in so many ways, right? I still find it charming. I still kind of like it. Still kind of like it. It's objectively bad, but I still like the F-104. I don't know what it is. I just think it's really cool in its own unique way. You know, it's like it's a flying freaking pencil. You know, it is the epitome of Cold War design. I feel like, you know, it was made for a specific purpose, but it was not used for that, at least for the most part. And I think that's most of what, I mean, in addition to like, you know, the whole ejection seat fiasco. So aside from that, I think most of its failures and shortcomings came from the fact that they didn't use it as it was intended for. But I digress. Least favorite aircraft I hate. The Ju-288 in War Thunder.
Specifically in War Thunder.
Specifically in War Thunder, because I don't know what its deal was, you know, in real life or whatever. But I hate the Ju-288 because it's so damn fast. It's at the higher end of props, and it is a pain in the ass and a half to try to chase them down. Every
Those
single
cowards time. Come back here and fight
cowards, you. Yeah. they just, you know, it's not a fun time when you see a bunch of those on the enemy team. It's just you know they're gonna drag out the match. You know they're gonna drag it out. So I'm not fond of those. But I'm also not too fond of Zeros either. Like the Zero, you know, when you think of the Japanese aircraft, right? You think of like the Zero. I prefer the Ki-43.
It is the cooler Zero variant.
Yeah, it's lighter, and I like it as. I mean, it's definitely not as heavily armed, but I do like them a lot more. And not just because I'm a Kotobuki fan either. That has part of it.
No, that's a good. That's good enough a reason as anything.
Yeah, but definitely, I'm not too fond of Zeros. I think their configuration, you know, their armament's a little weird. They're pretty lacking in the ammunition department. They're okay. They're kind of on the overrated side, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like, you know, they were deadly for several reasons. Absolutely, they were great turn fighters, you know, and all whatnot. But it's just not my cup of tea.
I think the thing that people really underestimate with the Zeros too is that they were good turn fighters, but they were also good zoom and boom fighters early war.
Oh yeah, early war, yeah.
Because they had phenomenal engine performance and their thrust to weight ratio compared to other planes.
That is a fair point, yeah. But yeah, I feel like I would have to think on it a bit longer to find one that I truly hate, because quite frankly, to wrap this up, I love aviation. And I feel like each aircraft is unique and has its own unique, like, you know, attributes and aspects that are cool in their own way. Are there inherently bad aircraft? Oh yeah, absolutely. It would take a while for me to think of them though, because I also have the memory of a goldfish, you know. Wait, what'd you say?
Cough MiG-3.
Oh, MiG-3. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not just a Corsair fan. I'm an aviation fan, you know.
Mr. Joe.
Yes. Hey, give me a second.
No.
There we go. On to your favorite era of flight. You know, at least give me a second to like read and talk.
I gave you like 5 seconds.
Hey, but that's like one at like my brain speed. So. Yeah, favorite era of flight. What is it?
What now?
What is your favorite era of flight?
Favorite era of flight. Ooh. I mean, honestly, I would say the romance and the just kind of classic look of, you know, World War II aviation, and not just like, you know, the military aircraft, but like, you know, say like the Douglas DC-3 and like, you know, the early passenger aircraft. I think, I guess World War II and some of the 50s aircraft. I think a lot of it was very much, you know, aviation was a fairly new thing, and it was kind of exploring to see what we can do with it, what we can take it into, whether, like, you know, how we can make them more effective weapons of war, or just better passenger planes, or just kind of like, you know, you had people like, you know, you had Howard Hughes, you know, you had like, you know, which was kind of before the war, but also during, that were just kind of pushing the boundaries and seeing what humanity could do with aviation. And I think that is like, you know, it's kind of like an age of adventure in my opinion, you know, in addition to like, you know, the war, of course, you know, it was like, you know, you had the plane, you had the props, you know, it was just a very analog and sort of manual hands-on experience, you know. I mean, not to say that, you know, jets aren't cool. Absolutely they are. But most of it is kind of like, you know, automated, I guess you could say. Like, you know, there's less... Huh?
Tubes. They all look like tubes.
Yep.
Right, yeah. But it's, I feel like, you know, there's just some sort of charm. There's a charm to it, you know, with, you know, hearing the engines roar, seeing the props spin up, you know. I think that's like, you know, to me, and I think for a lot of people, when they think of a plane, they think of a prop, you know, they think of a propeller aircraft, you know. And we still use them to this day, you know, not just in the museum sense, or not just like, you know, I mean, look at all the Cessnas, you know, look at all the, like, you know, there are some commercial flights that are still prop driven aircraft, you know, especially in some of the more remote places. or places where that's where it's called to be, like, due to the climate, So I think at the end of the day, the quintessential era of aircraft is the era of props.
And the prop era is still not over, considering that the special forces bought a whole bunch of crop dusters.
Yeah, what was it called? The Sky Warden?
The air tractor.
Yeah, air tractor, Sky Warden sort of deal.
It was going up against an attack variant of the Texan 2 turboprops, which I thought probably should have won. I thought those were cooler, but it is what it is.
Super Tucano didn't win?
Oh well, it's a multiple different contracts.
Okay.
It's really weird, and it makes absolutely no sense as per typical military procurement, from what I understand.
Last I had heard, the people in charge of the budget were like, "Hey, you committed to buying all of these, and your competition is a little suspect. And why do you need this many of these? Don't we have other aircraft that can already do that?" So it's getting reviewed again.
I see. Is that in regards to the Sky Warden air tractor, or is that in regards to the Texan?
The purchase or attempt to purchase the air tractors.
Oh yeah, because honestly, quite frankly, I see where they're going with the air tractor. However, I like the Super Tucano.
It looks better.
I think it's badass.
It looks way cooler, and that's what matters.
It does. It's like a modern P-51, essentially. I mean, I feel like a better approximation would be the was it A-26? No, it was A-36 Apache, which was the ground attack variant of the P-51 early on. But yeah, no, that is, I think it's cool, and I think there's a lot of potential there. It would be cheaper to operate than, say, like, F-15 Strike Eagles or A-10s, which are very aged.
So old they need new wings.
But it'll be interesting to see, and it's cool that to some degree they are still in service, And of course all the AWACS, those are props.
Only some of them. The Navy ones.
Oh, the naval ones. Okay, gotcha.
Was the props to let them take off from the carrier and land on the carrier. All right, next up, I think we already introduced the answer to this, but we'll ask it anyway. What's your favorite era of flight?
Props.
Yep.
Yeah. I like big fans that spin.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Remember, the big fan on the front of the plane is for cooling the pilot, because once it turns off, you see the pilot sweat.
Yeah. True. A lot of people don't realize that.
Oh gosh, when I was last time I was in flight school years ago, we did a thing where I think Sarge knows about this, where the instructor will be like, well, normally the boomer instructors did it, but I had one who was a college kid who was doing it, and he was and they pulled the mixture like, your engine has failed, and you have to do a simulation engine failure. So one time I was sitting in the cockpit with the guy, and he was a Cessna 172, your typical basic fish trainer stuff, and he pulls out the mixture and he says, your engine failed, and I said, no, you just pull out the mixture, put the fucking mixture back in.
It's like, no, it didn't, and then just
yeah. Sarge, next time you're with an instructor that pulls that shit, just give it a shot. Just put the fucking yeah. Oh, okay. So all right. Well, I guess my instructor was not normal because he pulled a mixture. No.
You just gotta do what that one experimental plane that I sent you the video about, where he was flying around and the prop just flew off. That's how you gotta do it.
Well, given this instructor, I won't say the school because I don't want to get him in any trouble or anything. Spent a lot more time on Snapchat than he did telling me to do stuff.
Oh boy.
That's what he would do. It was one of our things that we would do. Is you're like, hey, can you change the angle on this bit? I'm gonna get a picture of the other plane with the other instructor and send a snap to him. I'm like, all right, let's do it, because I didn't know any better. I was like 18, so like I'm like, all right, let's do it. That sounds fun. So I turn the plane around, he get the picture, then I go back to what I was doing before. But yeah, yeah, he was a fun instructor though. But he was like laughing his ass off after I basically put the
A boring one, that's for sure.
Yeah. But, and who knows? Maybe he meant to pull the throttle instead of the mixture, but just grab the mixture instead. I don't know what it. But it's like, nah. You just put the mixture back in. The engine's gonna unfail. Watch this.
Oh man.
But we did do a few. Any other instructor only ever did the pull the throttle. That one guy was like, mixture, make it feel real. I don't know. But it's just easy, pitch for 65 and blah blah, glide, find a spot, or if you can't make it, go back, point towards the airfield. If you get the airfield, or no airfield, I think I've usually picked out like little dirt farming roads that I didn't see have any wires on them. That was usually my preferred option. And my second choice was this one would hurt a lot more if we did it, but there was a watermelon farm down near the practice area that I'm like, all right, well, it's probably going to get stuck in the mud and flip, but we'll live and just land in a bunch of tasty watermelons. So, multi-engine instructor turned off the fuel selector and quit things to make sure they were in the right place and put the fuel selector on. He's like, you figured it out, but use the checklist.
Just memory items, not the checklist. It's fine.
Yeah. Your engine failed. Nuh. Unfail the engine, bro. It's not hard. Just give it the gas back. Give it the fuel back. It's hard.
I like the F-16 engine failure checklist. Oh, my engine's out. It doesn't work at all. Am I within 10 minutes glide of an airfield? Nope. Pull the ejection seat.
But if you're a CFI and let's say you have a 152 Aerobat and you really want to throw away your career on one final flight, what you should do is when you're teaching an engine failure, take the 152 Aerobat, flip it upside down for a few minutes.
Oh, God.
Sorry, for a few seconds. Because as you know, on Cessnas, on high-wing Cessnas, the fuel feed is gravity-driven only.
Oh, no.
Outside of an aux pump for starting the engine. So if you flip it, what you can do is completely starve out the fucking fuel, then flip it and unflip it. That right there is how you get your student to practice an engine failure.
Oh, no. Fun fact, the F-16 does that if you don't set the fuel source to normal.
Ah, okay.
I learned that in one of my first multiplayer apps in BMS. I had to evade a SAM, and I pulled some negative Gs, and the engine died.
This is the nice part of my flying career being completely over, is that I can just say whatever intrusive flying thought I have with no consequences. What is the FAA going to do to me? Take away the license I already lost when I lost my medical? What are you going to do? Sit your bitch ass down in Oklahoma City. Yeah, like
they're going to hand you a number to call.
Hey, fuck the entire city of fuck the entirety of Oklahoma City though. Y'all are bitches, especially the guys in the FAA buildings. Taking away my medical for literally no reason, and then make me fight for it for 5 years. And I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna jump another $10,000 into trying to fight this. Bye. And now I'm a boring ass accountant.
Will you help me with my taxes? I haven't done them yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off stream. I can cut you a deal.
We're not gonna do a tax stream.
I can't teach
Tax
people how to do
collab.
that. That'll undercut my entire business.
No,
if I do that.
I'll stream the game where you do your taxes.
Oh yeah. See, this is how I pay for my. This is literally how I'm paying for my Live 2D model. Is this year's tax season? So I kind of have to.
All right.
But I can take care of you, Mika. We'll talk about it off stream.
I'm just gonna do H&R Block and lose like half of what I make and be done.
No, do not. Okay. Look. I will talk this one part. I will undercut H&R Block by a lot.
But they're like $20.
Oh, okay. No, normally most people that I talk to, they go to HR Block. It's $300 for them. So
Oh, I'm just gonna
that's
use the
how I-
tax software, and just
yeah.
I'll write in my Twitch profits because I don't make enough to get a 1099.
Gotcha.
So I'll just
'Cause I can
write it in and pay half of that in taxes and call it a day.
actually. I can. Yeah, I was gonna say I am more expensive than $20, unfortunately. So
Uh-huh.
I'm normally around $100, but I can do a lot more. I can do a lot more trickery than H&R Block can. You know, they the problem is they try to pump them out as fast as they can, but I go and try and find every single loophole to do in order to get you as much money as possible.
If I made enough that the amount I was paying in taxes was more than what an accountant cost, I would consider doing it. So maybe next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can. The difference is my ethic. Oh, I should not say that.
Yeah,
on
you
stream.
should,
We should move on to the next question.
Yeah. You have the
I'm
next
not
question, Joe. Why
associated
don't-
with any of this.
Hello,
I don't
professional
have-
word for
I
CPAs
don't
in the
have
state of Florida.
anything
I
to do
would
with this
never,
whatsoever.
ever do any form of creative accounting at any point. I would never do that. That's unethical and wrong. I don't commit. Oh, actually, I straight up I don't commit any fraud because I don't like going to jail. That's bad. I don't quite stretch far enough, or rather wide enough for jail. So, let's see. Oh yeah, this is an
It's
unhighlighted
conveniently
question,
highlighted
Mika.
for you. Oh wait.
Oh wait.
Oh, so it's me?
Yeah, I'm on highlights this week.
I forgot.
See how easy it is to forget?
Yeah, I know. So Adrian, what are your favorite kind of scenarios in flight sims?
I don't do a lot of flight sims, so I don't
Well,
really know.
Flight games.
Favorite scenarios?
Yeah.
I like Bomber Escort. Bomber Escort has always
geez.
been something that I think is pretty awesome. I think it's we had that one event in War Thunder not too long ago, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and I wish it was a mainstay game mode. It's just seeing the huge massive formation of bombers and then just weaving through that and trying to get them to their target. It's so cool, and it's something that you don't see often, and if you do see it in gaming, it's for a short amount of time. From my experience, I don't know if there's I don't know how true that is, but that is one of my favorites for sure. Of course, ground attack is always another fun one, for obvious reasons. So I'd say those are my two favorite scenarios to fly in. Dogfighting's good too. Dogfighting's good and all well and good, but it's kind of basic isn't the word I'd want to use to describe it, but it's just very much it's common. It's very common. You see it everywhere. There's some element of dogfighting in just about every. I mean, it's the basis of aerial combat, right? Well, kinda, depending on the era.
I mean, you can tell it's common because you're sitting here with two dogfighters.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There you go. There you go.
I'm a
Case in
wizzo.
point.
I'm not a dogfighter. You are, but I'm a wizzo. I don't do front seat anymore.
If I take out your front seater, you can become a dogfighter real quick.
Please don't. I don't like doing the ACM stuff. You saw how bad that episode was when we had Night on. You saw how bad that dogfight was. Do you really want to see more of that, Mika? Please don't say
Actually,
yes.
yes.
Please don't say yes. Ah.
Yeah, see, even Knight wants to see more.
Yeah, more content. Oh, so you can just watch Mika demolish me in like 5 seconds when he's in the F-16 and I'm in the Hornet because I am completely incompetent.
Hey, Hornet's easy mode compared to the F-16 right now.
Yeah,
The F-16 does not turn like it's supposed to.
Even if the Hornet is in easy mode, you can see my massive glaring skill issue. The only chance I had was in that first round of Night where I almost ran him out of gun ammo.
Yeah, as the accent says, I can't BFM anyway. Outside of Warbirds.
I think you could out BFM me.
I don't know why
Pretty
people
easy.
think I'm so good at dogfighting. Maybe it's just because I beat out Airshow using an I-16 when he was in a Typhoon.
What?
Yeah, Airshow and I did dogfights in IL-2. It's like more than a year ago now. And we just pick random aircraft and fight each other. And he was gonna bring like a Tempest or a Typhoon, and I said, I-16.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, the I-16 is a freaking weapon of mass destruction.
The
That thing
I-16
sticky
is
little.
is really good. In IL-2, it's got like one of the highest power to weight ratios and one of the fastest turn speeds and climb speeds, at least at low altitudes.
The thing's an absolute menace, that's for sure. Even in War Thunder.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
a
where I
menace.
fought it. Oh yeah.
Its drawbacks are that it has no trimming capability, so you have to have your hand on the stick the entire time, and you have to hand crank the landing gear.
Ah.
It's so bad, but it's so good.
Yes. Very cool. All right. So here's our fun question. There is a rule on it that comes to the end.
I think we can
Rule?
delete the stipulation on this one
What?
for this guest. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Because
What?
I don't think he's gonna answer that.
Okay, that's fair, but we still gotta read out. I always read it the same way.
Okay,
every time.
fine. Okay, fine.
Husband, what has gotten into you today?
What's gotten into you?
You sound
Is that-
hostile.
I was like, was that the
Do
question?
we need to? Is there something to talk about?
No.
All right, if you promise. Then we can have breakfast tacos after stream. How about that? All right. Anyway,
My friends now. We're having some
what is
tacos
an
later.
upcoming Play Sim update you're looking forward to, or module or add-on, other than the F4? Nobody's allowed to say the F4 because everybody else would just say the F4. if
Oh,
we didn't
upcoming
have a rule.
DCS update that I'm looking forward to?
Anything.
easy.
Yeah.
Corsair. Corsair.
All
hands
right,
down
there
all
we
day.
go. See?
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
See,
That's
that's
the only
love to
reason
see it.
I'm gonna get the game.
Ah.
Fair enough.
So I won't get it until then. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I do want to play the game. Don't get me wrong.
To be fair, you
But I
could
would get F1
fly
on
an
it.
unarmed P-51 for free.
I've flown it. I have the game. I have the game, and I have flown the unarmed P-51. I think it's called like the T-51 or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. You know, it's all well and good, and to each their own. Those of you guys who can fly P-51s, then I salute you. It's not for me.
I will say.
So I'll wait until my baby gets added, the Corsair.
I will say, if you have DCS installed, make sure to make good use of the 2-week free trials on most modules.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you can go to the store page. If you're not on Steam, avoid using the Steam version because you can't trial things. But if you're on the
Well-
non-Steam version, you can go to the DCS store, and under each module, there's a buy option, but then there's also a trial option.
Yes, you get to try things for free.
Yes.
And the standalone Eagle Dynamics store is constantly on sale. They almost never sell anything at full price.
Except for all the Rosbomb modules.
Yeah, because they're bitches. Which even then, the F-15E is at a discount since it's early access. So
Shit.
Yeah, so if you do want to get into
Because
like
I've got the Steam version.
well, you just have to reinstall it.
Eh.
Eh.
Time will tell. All will be revealed as fate determines.
Trials are nice because 2 weeks, if you've got a decent amount of time, you can learn an entire aircraft in that. Like, I learned basically all of the Harrier in my trial, and I had to buy it yesterday.
Oh wow.
Pretty cool.
have
Space
lots of learning.
excellent. Sorry, I have to. I apologize for interrupting you, but I need to stop this behavior in the chat. Exxon, no. Do not give him that idea. Do not insinuate such things. No. The only person who could technically do that is Airshow because we moderate for him.
I what? Huh?
We were both Airshow. Don't worry about it. Don't look at the chat. But just that is. Do not make that implication, Exxon. All this time of me saying I'd much rather be French than British, and this is what you do.
No counting. No counting in chat.
you got
No
his ass.
counting in chat.
You guys,
Betrayal.
No counting in
Betrayal.
chat.
Wait, is Riston on? Do we have any mods?
Just me. I timed everyone out for
Okay,
the default timeout time. So sorry, you're all timed out for
Yeah.
600 seconds.
Isn't
Mods.
Riston? Oh wait, Riston's one of yours, but I don't think he's here right now. He was here earlier. Surprised Riston didn't kill him. So here we go. Where were we again? Oh wait, it's your.
Yeah, it's actually mine.
Yeah, it's actually your turn. Okay.
All right, this is a hard question that we probably should start sending to people beforehand so they can think about it, but I'm too lazy for that. So the question
I'll
is,
try to speed run it.
what is an insult you received that you're proud of?
That I've received. An insult that I have said, or an insult that
That
I've
you've
received?
That you've received that you're proud of?
You're proud of, or just found really funny.
Oh, okay. I think I can think of one. Because there's one that comes to the forefront, and I was gonna make a post about it the other day because there was like a little trend going on, like, oh, what do you commonly get compared to? What is your VTuber model constantly compared to? Have you guys seen those posts around?
Oh yeah.
So this is pertaining to that. I don't know if it's an insult per se, but I guess it can be perceived as one. But I always get called what was it called? Like a Digimon protagonist.
What?
And I'm just like,
That's actually-
I'm not even offended. I'm just like, hell yeah, they rock the goggles. I rock the goggles. We have a little unofficial group called the Goggle Gang, which the only real
Meeks
membership
told me of
requirement
this.
is you have goggles. You're an honorary member, like right away.
Well, I need to start up tie gang at some point then, because I have a tie with my other outfit, which is just my normal office work outfit. I'll have to work on some more stuff too. But what I'm thinking is when I go for Love 2D model, I want to have like a few different tie colors so I can like change ties based off of the tie I'm feeling that day.
Nice.
You could just get the
I like that idea. That's a
tie.
cool concept.
You could just get the tie as like a white base, and then you can use the recolor that VTube Studio
Mika,
has.
You seem unaware of my real life tie game here. You're underestimating. My ties have patterns. I don't do solid color ties for the most part.
That sounds expensive.
They're not really that expensive, but I get cool patterns, and I'm like, damn, that's a cool pattern. I want to tie with that. Or I'll get
rock
like
the
the
Freddy
funny
Fazbear
ones with like,
tie.
because like I don't know if you've seen like they have like ties of everything. Like the nifty ties of like stuff on them. They ties with planes on them. Like I've good ties.
I
They
went to
absolutely
a store.
to slap.
I went to a store that sells exclusively socks and underwear, and they're all like novelty ones. And they had like a bunch of character designs, different patterns and whatnot. Do they have the equivalent of that for ties too?
Oh, absolutely. Like you can get a tie from. There's like two websites you can just get like ties of whatever you want.
I was very close to getting the Among Us socks, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point. You can just get your tie in bright green, and then you can chroma key out the tie and put like a background, so that there's just a scrolling pattern on your tie.
All right. To start, the great idea, Mika. Until you remember what the rest of me looks like is green.
Then
It's a
blue.
blue screen then.
You can chroma key out any color.
I'd rather just have a built-in model.
It's genius.
Lame.
Great idea.
Lame.
It's a great idea.
I offered you breakfast tacos, husband man.
I had leftover pancakes for breakfast, so I'm fine.
Oh, so you're significantly different. Not even real pancakes, leftover pancakes.
Yeah, leftover
Weak ass
Bobbins
breakfast meal
pancakes.
today. I have chorizo. I've got eggs. I've got pepper jack. I am like stacked up and ready to go for breakfast.
That's elite.
Yeah, I am. My cooking is elite.
Maybe there's a way to load an image on the tie later. There is. I've seen some people do some things with their models where you can like hot swap certain textures. I don't know how it works.
I don't
So
know.
you-
The person that's doing mine is capable of some pretty crazy like model and rigging wizardry. I don't think different tie colors would be too much of an ask. Okay, where were we again?
We are on the last question.
Which means
The
it's time
last
for audience
question?
questions.
Time
Because
for
we don't
audience
do the-
questions. Yep.
Because we'd say the last one to the actual end. Otherwise, we take audience questions.
Okay.
Do we have any, Mika?
So
Should
Axon
deal with
asks,
activity.
how do you deal with the salt in the Pacific?
That's an easy one. That's an easy one. It's nothing compared to the salt that I see on a regular basis in War Thunder.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a really good one, yeah.
Oh, it pales in comparison for sure. So it's manageable.
War Thunder Rust Belt map when. Let's do like Cleveland, Ohio or some shit like that.
But yeah, so
And what'll happen in the game is like anytime your paint chips from being hit, or like you get hit but you bounce around and the paint gets knocked off, that area now starts like a rusting timer, and eventually just a hole will open up from the rust after like 10 minutes.
the whole
I think you just peeked your mic out there because I didn't hear anything other than oh.
you have a hole in your left wing.
Yeah, and this time it won't be from guns, it'll be from rust.
Discord doesn't really like my really high pitched voices. I've
no.
noticed.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to circumvent that or whatever, or to like go around it, but
Yeah, you can put
I need
a
to find out.
compressor on your mic and then pipe that into Discord. I've got a setup with that where my mic pipes into a program, which then pipes that out to Discord. But then I also pipe Discord into this and monitor that. It's really complicated.
it sounds complicated.
It makes my head hurt thinking about how it works.
Do it off
Yeah.
stream, you know. I should definitely look into that because I do have a naturally high voice, and you know, and that's all right. You know, I don't mind it whatsoever. You know, I think it's just that mics do tend to mind it. I know I definitely had to do a lot of tweaking for my OBS for it to cooperate with that. But yeah, so Discord is definitely next on the list.
Most interesting.
And then I see a question here from Spaceman of where did you get your model from? I did some stalking of Adrian's page to get links for this. But do you want to mention who made your model?
Sure, I'd be more than happy to. So, my model mama, as the term goes, is Yomitsu_you, who is an extremely talented artist based out of Finland. She was wonderful, made some, like, you know, was very responsive and very, like, you know, just every step of the way, like, you know, took a lot of input, like, you know, and, you know, some progress pictures and sketches and all that. It was a really great process. So she was the one who made my model. Is also a VTuber as well. I think on a bit of a hiatus right now, but yeah. So if you want to see some more of her artwork, you can see that on twitter.com or Twix, whatever you want to call it. You know. And
Wix,
my
I like
rigging
that.
was
Thank
done
you.
by Hey Kai Sky. Yeah, Hey Kai Sky did my rigging, and he was also really cool. One of the coolest guys, just period. You know, I asked him for a lot of wacky things, like, you know, this, and then of course the goggle toggle. That's the big one. I was like, hey man, this one's gonna be a bit of a doozy, but do you think you can do it? And he's like, yeah, no, I think I can do it. And I was just like, all right, you know, that's hell yeah, you know. And yeah, super cool. He does some VTubing here on the side and whatnot. You know, he is based out of Australia, so different time
Oh,
zones. I can't
nice.
really catch a lot of his streams all the time, but yeah. so-
Australian. Maybe we can have
We love
Airshow
it.
translate to it with him for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're amazing, and you know, honestly, they really outdid themselves, and they, like, you know, I couldn't be happier, for sure.
I put the two links for those people in chat in case anyone's interested. next up, Axon asked, this question was posed after you went into the lore of like fighting the monsters and such. So he said, some cities on the West Coast, did California get bombed?
Oh no. So bombs were not involved. Essentially what happened is that towards the tail end of the war, a bunch of rifts in space-time opened around the world, but they started in the Pacific for whatever reason. We're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, so these rifts, interdimensional rifts, kind of opened up, and a bunch of creatures poured on out, and now it's everybody's problem to deal with. And us mercenaries, we make a profit off of that problem. You know, we take them out, protect areas from them, patrols, all that good stuff. All I know is that despite us being, it's kind of like a ripple effect, you know, like the ripple is small to begin with, but then it kind of expands and gets larger and larger, you know? So we're kind of like the eye of the storm, so to speak. So compared to other areas of the world, we don't have it as bad. So we kind of have a bit of a nice equilibrium, I guess you could say. It's manageable, so. But enough to keep our business alive, without a doubt. As far as California proper, yeah, no, since then it's made a pretty quick recovery. But what they did was they consolidated a lot of the civilization to the major cities, and now they've become something of mega cities / ports, you know, which is what we usually trade with. So they're kind of like fortress cities, if you will, you know, because that's the easiest way to protect a large population, you know, and especially with, you know, all these monsters roaming about and raiders, pirates, all that good stuff. You know, society has had to adapt. Not quite sure how things are like on the East Coast and other parts of the world. All I do know is that the Midwest is all but lost.
Oh. Uh-oh.
So,
I'm in danger.
The country has been torn asunder, for sure. Like, it's definitely taken a hit to, you know, produce and crops and all that stuff. So, definitely kind of effectively split the nation in half. But it's all good because we found a way. We find a way. We don't let that shit stop us. Besides, it's not our problem, personally. You know.
All right.
For those, you know.
And speaking of country torn asunder, are you a pineapple on pizza person or not? As is asked by a soft toothbrush.
Remember, there is a wrong answer to this question.
No, there's not. There's no wrong answer to this question.
So I am very much a live and let live kind of guy. That is kind of my my viewpoint towards a lot of topics. However, I am not a pineapple on pizza guy. I'm sorry, you know, it's not my thing. I've tried it. I have tried it. I gave it the old college try. It just doesn't really meld well, in my opinion. You know, I like a nice savory pizza, and I think something's going on with the stream there.
It's fine.
What's going on?
Your ISP was bullying you for a second. Don't worry about it.
My what?
ISP.
Oh.
Oh, okay, we're back. Okay,
We're back.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I like the savory, sort of spicy type of pizza. Like, you know, pineapple on pizza, not really my jam, admittedly. Although I was curious about the peanut butter pizzas that I've seen before. I'm just like, technically peanut butter's not sweet, I guess. So maybe there's something there, but I don't know if I can work myself up to do that. But pineapple, no, not my deal.
All right, and then the last viewer question I see here is along the same lines. If you could be any type of burger, what kind would you be?
Ooh, okay, this is an easy one. I've thought about this. A breakfast burger, 100%. I love breakfast. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day, and there's a reason why it's the most important. And the best part is, there's no rule that says you can't have breakfast at any other time of day.
Exactly.
Right. So I've had breakfast in the late hours of the night, early hours of the morning. It just hits different, guys. I'm telling you, you know. So, Breakfast burgers to me are the culmination of it's like the ultimate meal. You get all the benefits of breakfast. You got the egg, you got the sausage and/or bacon, and potatoes, all that good stuff. It's like a super meal almost, and it's delicious. And if I were to have a burger based on yours truly, I think a breakfast burger would do just fine. Add a little Baja Blast on the side, you've got the August meal right there. Man.
All right, I have one more dumb question that I want to ask everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have an alchemical jug that can produce an unlimited amount of any liquid you want, but it can only do one liquid once you pick it.
Mm-hmm.
And the stipulations are that you can't pump it out infinitely and sell it. It'll only make as much as you truly desire, or as much as you truly desire to give away for free. What liquid would you have it make?
An easy one, Mika. Baja
What's that?
Blast. Baja Blast all day. I can't even think of any other options. It's got to be Baja Blast, and 2024 is a great year already because we're getting all sorts of Baja Blast related stuff. Not to mention you can finally get them in stores. So I don't even have to drive all the way to Taco Bell. I've got 2 cases in my kitchen as we speak. I probably should have gotten more, quite frankly. But I am a firm Baja believer, and I am looking forward to trying out the Baja Blast flavored pie, which is going to be a thing.
Baja Blast pie? How does that work?
Sort of like key lime pie.
Oh, I guess I can see that.
Yeah, I actually, admittedly, I'm a little iffy on that one, but the gelato looks good. They're gonna do gelato too. That one had pretty good test results, and less people died in this test.
Oh, that's always a plus.
Yeah, not nearly as many as the others. So it's an improvement.
Joe, what would you pick?
Mm-hmm. Please restate the question. My brain has completely shut off in this time.
So let's say you've got a magical jug that can produce any liquid you want and as much as it as you truly desire, but you can't sell it. You can only make enough for you to use, or as much as you truly desire to give away. But once you pick a liquid, it can only make that liquid.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say if you could sell it, I would do pretty high proof moonshine, but I can't sell it, so that really wouldn't be too useful for me. So, either the white chocolate mocha from Starbucks or peach Celsius.
Those are fun answers.
Yeah.
I threw this at Air Show the other day, and he said blood plasma or O-type blood. I was like, god dang, that's a good one.
That's an option?
Yeah, it's any liquid you want.
Yeah, because if you could sell it, you could just for that it's just endless money.
Well, you wouldn't sell it. You just tell the Red Cross, hey, I truly want to give this away to you. And they just drive a tanker to your house every day and you fill it up.
Yeah. Or you can sell it to a plasma bank and make bank.
Well, you can't sell it. That's the stipulation.
Yeah, you can't sell.
I would
Can you imagine, Mika, if you could sell it, how many guns you could have?
Sure, but I mean, I could just buy guns anyway.
Okay, that's
also,
true. We got even
lives
more.
is kind of cool too.
Well, in this case, Mika could get equipment to end them as well.
Balance.
I already do enough international arms dealing as it is, so I don't need more excuses to buy guns.
Great, now I feel like an ass for picking Baja Blast over something that can actually help humanity. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Air Show.
Dang it, Air Show! How dare you be the moral consciousness of the group?
Now, I don't take it back at all, actually. I don't regret my choice. Baja Blast can help humanity. I stand by that.
All right, I see no more audience questions. I think it's time to ask the final.
Oh, give them a second. Usually when we say this, they come up with a bunch. Because this happens every time.
No, no one's
Gotcha.
no one's asking
Let's
anything.
see.
All right.
If you
I'm
have
not
any
giving them
remaining
a chance.
questions,
They were
now's your
sleeping.
chance.
They were
Now's your
sleeping.
time.
You have 20 seconds.
Bam, 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 bam. Ba 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 bam 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 ba ba bam 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 ba bam 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 bam. Oh, there's a question.
Yeah, Spaceman got one in just in time.
See, I told you. Always happens.
How did I meet Mika? Oh, I know this one. I know this one. Okay. I believe when I first was a seedling of a VTuber. When I was first like a VTubing, what's the word I'm looking for? Homunculus. Yeah, when I was a homunculus, I was exploring the Twitter space, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna be an aviation VTuber. What if I found some other aviation VTubers? So I started looking around, and I don't know if Mika found me or I found Mika, but it was during the searches of for aviation VTubers that somehow, some way, Mika was discovered, or Mika discovered me. Do you remember? I have a really goldfish memory, but I remember it was something along the lines. And then you messaged me asking me about aircraft. I think it was favorite. Yes.
Can't remember how we met at all. It was so long ago at this point. Let me see if we've got the message in here somewhere in Twitter.
It was like 2 years at this point in time.
Oh yeah, I DM'd you on Twitter. Hello, fellow pilot. I assume you like World War II planes. What is your favorite aircraft from World War II?
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely a very fun conversation. Now, that's when I knew, like, oh yeah, this guy's really cool. This guy's really cool, you know. And sure enough, I was right.
I remember whenever I see another aviation-related VTuber, I'm like, "Hi, we are now going to be friends. Do not resist."
Oh yeah. 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 So definitely, like, you know, it was a cool first impression, without a doubt. Like, you know, we had a brief but fulfilling chat about that, and yeah, it's just kind of grew from there, I'd say. Admittedly, we haven't collabed too much. I think we've done like maybe 1 or 2 before.
We did a
That
War
is something
Thunder.
that we can fix. That is something that we can fix in the near future.
Hey, you said you've got a flight stick now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to play War Thunder Arcade, but with your flight stick?
I'd rather die. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's an accurate statement, or accurate take to have.
So when
But
you were,
you know what? For the meme, I could be convinced.
If I can get a couple people to sign on for it, I think I will make that a penalty for an upcoming charity thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that does sound like a fun time, for sure.
'Cause I did it before, and after 2 hours, I think I had 2 kills.
Oh, that's reassuring.
It was so painful. It was so hard to hit anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Spaceman shotgunned a couple other questions. I think you should, well, what's your favorite flight sim? And again, this could be any airplane related game.
I'll stick to the question, and as far as flight sims go, I would say IL-2. From what I've heard, it's basically the definitive version or definitive flight sim game for World War II combat. So I would say by default, IL-2, the most recent one, which is, I believe, Battle of Strumovik.
The Great Battles version.
Yeah, I think so. So
Mhm.
the most recent one.
I really like IL-2. I used to play a lot of that, and then I got sucked into modern.
Ah, the natural progression of things, I see.
It is. I will say it's one of the best ways to, like, skill-wise get into things. Because if you start, like, right away and you don't know how to fly any planes and you pick up like an F-16, you're gonna be doing so many bad habit things that if you pop into a tail dragger, you're just gonna fall out of the sky a ton.
Ah, I see. Yeah,
It's like-
'cause that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like one of the most definitive things is like in the F-16 I could just pull the stick back as hard as I want and it's no consequence except my airspeed. Whereas in IL-2, basically any prop plane, if I try that, it just departs from flight and I am now spinning and looking at the ground. And then the last question Spaceman had was, are there any sims you're looking to get into?
DCS, when the time is right.
When the time is right.
And maybe when I have the sort of material to buy and get modules on the regular basis. Because admittedly, the contracts have been kind of slow as of late. So, you know, gotta work around that.
Space. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Eventually DCS. Yeah. Eventually DCS.
We'll drag you into the DCS hole sometime.
It's a fun hole.
We need more flight sim VTubers playing DCS because I keep getting and seeing comments of people going, "Oh, there aren't enough DCM VTuber or DCS flight sim VTubers. It's a market that nobody's in." And I'm like, "Bitch, there's like 8 of us. Come on, there are 8 of us." I should actually like try to make a list and see exactly how many there are.
It's certainly a very niche. It's a very niche community. It's a very niche space, and I think that kind of leads into Spaceman's other question, which is, what's my favorite part of the aviation tuber community? It's a very niche but dedicated community, you know, and that's what they say to do is like, you know, when you're VTubing, you got to find your niche, and I think with aviation, and aviation VTubers in particular, you know, we definitely have found that, you know, and it's a pretty well-knit group, I would say, and everybody that I've met thus far has been really cool, you know, really awesome. And there's a lot of overlap, for sure. And I just think it's great, you know. I think it's cool to see us all, like, you know, out here, you know, VTubing in this, you know, in this sort of corner of the internet that, like, you know, has so many dedicated, like, you know, you got historians, you've got actual pilots, you know, you've got engineers, you've got so many interesting and unique people to talk to, you know, in all walks of life. And it's just it's awesome being able to share my, you know, my interests and share my passion and love for aviation with you know, with everyone. So I think in that it's just been awesome, you know. It's been awesome for sure. And I love dragging people into War Thunder.
Oh god. Oh no, not War Thunder. At least War Thunder is better than the other tank game.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's fair.
World of Tanks is terrible. It's awful, horrible.
I used to play a lot of World of Tanks, and I used to be really good at it. And then, then I realized how toxic it was, and I left.
Mika, are you okay?
I am okay. I'm okay. I 3-marked the Sherman Firefly.
What does that mean?
It means you're better than 99% of players who use that tank.
Oh, so you played it. Oh.
Yeah, I played it.
Carefully now. Treat this man with respect. He's entered the gates of hell and came back a winner.
It is. Oh my god, it was so bad. It's like you'd carry an entire match, like I'd have literal matches where I'd kill half the enemy team, and my entire team folds, and I die. We lose the match, and I get trash talked.
Damn.
It's like, guys, please, can you just be civil for a second?
That's horrible. That is crazy. But nevertheless, I salute you.
All right, I think since Spaceman says he's done asking questions, Joe, we can ask the final countdown question.
Yep. Okay, that is highlighted. So it's on me this time. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Oh, that is a really deep question. Is that all there is to it? Is that like for life or as
Oh,
like a
up to you.
creator?
Up-
What
up
is
to you.
that?
It's open-ended, man.
Whew. All right, ending on a really, really deep note. That's fine. That's fine. You know, I am definitely no stranger to deep conversations. I get into a couple sometimes on my streams, but if I could be remembered for one thing. Ooh, okay. I'd want to be remembered for making people's lives a little bit better. Even if it's one day at a time, or even if it's like, for an hour or a couple of hours, if I feel like, and if I hear that I've made someone's even day a little bit brighter, or if I've made if I've made some sort of positive outcome on someone's life at all, then I will have felt accomplished. I know it sounds really cheesy, cliche, hammy, whatever, but it's what I truly feel. Because I know life is hard, guys. Let's be real here. There's no doubt about that, and everybody has different hardships that they go through in life. And what I like about being an entertainer is that maybe you can, enter into my streams or whatnot, or just tune in, or anybody's streams really, and just kind of forget about them for a little bit, or maybe it helps you, see or get inspired to do something, or maybe it inspires you to become a VTuber, or maybe it inspires you to follow a passion that you're into, if it's aviation or whatever, whatever that may be, because at the end of the day, the arts are, and I would consider this as part of the arts. The arts are one of the most important parts of humanity because it is integral to our identity. It's integral to our experience as a human. It is what makes the difference between existing, it's the difference between surviving and truly living, because it's an expression, whatever that expression may be, that's up to the individual. And I just think that's wonderful, So if I am to leave an impact, I'd hope it's something like that.
Good impact to have.
Or if anything else, I can convince people to like the F4U Corsair more, and I think that's a good second.
I think that's a very lofty goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys don't already like the F4U Corsair, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's magnificent. It's a beautiful bird.
It's literally perfect.
So yeah, definitely something like that, something along those lines. And maybe if I'm feeling really, really, mischievous, get people into War Thunder. Come on, it's free. It only costs you your sanity. Not sponsored, by the way. Not sponsored.
Yeah, War Thunder, you gotta sponsor this guy. I think we still have the War Thunder command.
Oh yeah. Oh, you do. Oh. Nice. But yeah.
All right, let's close out. Please go follow the lovely Aidrian Auguste. He's got look at this model. Oh my god, it looks so good. It moves so good. I love it.
It's amazing. It's really great.
Thank you. Y'all are
Someday
too
I'll
kind.
be able to move like him.
Maybe you will.
I
And
look
then
forward to seeing it.
Joe, do you have any announcements before we wrap up?
I'll probably stream again sometime at some point. You should also follow my boss, Tomo Yumari. She's cool.
No.
She's now multicasting to Twitch.
The horse.
She helped get me my start. And Joe VT is in part funded by paychecks from her. So, yeah, because I work there. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't have too much. Raid options. I see that.
Hold your horses. Hold your horses. Our
Okay.
guest.
Funny.
Adrian, do you have
yes,
any announcements?
that's
Any
pretty
upcoming
cool.
streams?
Usually post my schedules on Monday of every week, so that would be tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna be posting my my schedule tomorrow. Definitely every week I do have a War Thunder Wednesday usually. So if you guys do like War Thunder, or if you like to see people suffering in War Thunder and you really hate the game, then there you go. You can see that too. So every week I do War Thunder Wednesday. I'll probably be doing some more stuff. Maybe I'll get back into IL2. Maybe I'll do some more Helldivers also. But then again, everybody and their mamas is doing Helldivers, so. But it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, but definitely, you know, probably a fairly standard week, but I look forward to whatever each week brings. You know, I'm excited to show you guys what I have in store. But I would like to say before I go, thank you guys for having me on the show. Thank you guys for inviting me. You know, it's been a true pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. You know, and I appreciate it. And thank you for the shout outs. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for filling a guest slot.
Mhm.
Joe, what were you saying about raid options?
There is the funny computer lady, Ari, is up. That's the only person on my follow list who's online right now. She's fun to visit.
Let me take a quick exploration and see if there's anybody else I know on, and there is not.
All right, well,
All right.
that was easy.
Raid
She likes
is,
it
all
anyway.
right.
All right, let me get the raid message back up for a second here.
Let me start
oh,
up the
actually,
raid.
my Mika sub ran out. Fuck.
Oop. My Joe sub ran out too.
Oh shit. Well, that's gonna be a bit of a problem for making that.
See, what we need to do is we just need to trade emotes. They only need a sub to one of us to make it work.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to do 2 messages then. Tail strength rate, and then we'll have to make an alternate one with your wiggle instead. So I guess you guys could pick which team you're on: brown dog or white dog, or blue dog rather. I think it's more than blue for you. At least you have blue hints. Or if you have a sub to both, you can do both messages.
Uh-huh.
It's all up to you, lovely viewers.
Let's actually prep the raid. Yeah, here we go. It's right in the front page. Easy.
All right.
All right, we will see you all. Will we see you all next week? What's next week?
Next week.
What's today? Today is this. Okay, yeah, next week. Yes. The week after, probably not. But make sure you all say hi to Ari. Make sure you all follow Adrian, and we'll see you all around. Bye-bye.